Hello, hello, good evening. Welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Simpilot. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along today. And thanks for the host, to Ibilis Kittus. Great to see you all here. Really excited today. Back in the A340-600, one of my all-time favorite airplanes. Often asked if I'd like to fly any aircraft, what would it be? And this would have been one. Sadly, very unlikely these days. But here it is, recreated by the fantastic team at ToLiss. So they've done a great job, obviously, on this version. And we are trying out a new update, which has not yet been released. I'm not sure what the time frame for release is. I don't think it's too far away now. But we're going to be testing it out on this flight. And we're going to head down to Madrid, about a 2-hour flight. When we get down to Madrid, we've got some excellent scenery from Aerosoft and Windsock simulations. So looking forward to that as well. It's really detailed, really nice. So thanks you to them for sending it over. As you can see, we're parked up at Heathrow. Got a 777 just pushed back behind us who is heading off. I'm glad the music ended just in time to see them. I'm hoping you guys can hear something from the desktop audio. So let me know if the airplane's too quiet. Lots of nice things updated in this version. So we're going to have a look at those as we go through. But yeah, here it is in all its glory in this fantastic Landor livery I grabbed off the X-Plane forums. Really, really nice. Couldn't resist it. Suits the 340-600 really well, I think, with the nice long... Oh, there's an EasyJet. Nice long line just underneath the windows. And yeah, we're over on Terminal 5. This is Aerosoft's Heathrow Scenery. Oh, there's a Thompson as well. Aerosoft's Heathrow Scenery that I just got off X-Plane back when I first got X-Plane, actually. So there we go. You can see we don't actually quite fit in the white line. We've not parked properly. Whoever parked this airplane, the last crew didn't do a great job because, yeah, we're infringing on that taxiway by quite some margin. I think the 777 is going to just about get away with it. But there we go. Right, jumping into the chats. Thanks again for those follows. So we are, of course, live on YouTube and Twitch. You take your pick, whichever you'd like to watch us on. Jumping over to YouTube. Great to see you all here. Thanks for coming along. James Cooper, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Wide One Ball as well. And Richard V, thanks for coming along and moderating along with Victor Tango. Great to have you all here. And yeah, sorry, what have we got going on? Happy New Year to everyone, of course. It's been, yeah, we've had our festive season is sort of winding down now. But yeah, welcome to anyone new. But of course, we did have a Christmas sort of group flight not that long ago, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, it's back to the normal business of flying around, I suppose. We're also taking things back a bit. This is a more common route for the channel that we used to do, sort of a UK holiday style route. Madrid, maybe not quite a holiday destination. It depends what you're looking for. Liam says it comes as a pleasant surprise. Excellent, thanks for coming along, Liam. Hope you're doing well. And Jacko and Xbox GoPro 12, that's a good name. I hope you're all doing very well. I'm just going to have to scroll through the messages a bit. I do apologise. If you have questions, bring them into the chat later. Yeah, I'm going to be running a little bit behind on the chat. There's lots of you here, so thank you all for coming along. Tom Corwine, good to see you. Klaus as well. Ethan's Aviation, hope you're doing very well. And Leo Burson, if I didn't say hello. Daniel J. Suresh, I hope you're doing well. Daniel J. flew on it a few times. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I've been on a 340 once and it was lovely. SB, good to see you. Ruchi 2, I hope you're doing very well. Right hand. MLG, good evening to you and best wishes to you as well. The Isaac, hello. Mark Burgess, Freddie Lowe, Paolo, it's great to have you all here. So many people. And Lauren V, thanks for coming along and moderating as well, of course. I hope you're doing well. Lauren V says 777 is either coming to visit me in Boston or headed for a holiday in Male. Don't know which 777 it is. Yeah, I'm not sure. They're on the way now. Heading over. There is a ground controller, I think. I think we have control at Heathrow. I'm not entirely convinced the Manta ground services would be used out of Heathrow, but there they are, looking rather fantastic. Pink going very well with the the grey and blue livery. Thanks for all these follows and subscriptions. My notifications, I think, are running a slightly. Oh no, they're all new. Yeah, thank you to all of you for joining us and following along. Now there's a lot of new Twitch followers, so thank you all very much for coming along. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the stream. So that is that's YouTube. Birdman, happy New Year to you as well. Hayden J. Robbins, good to see you. Hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, so let me hop over to Twitch. Just make sure nobody misses out on Twitch. Hi to Deeper Devil. Thanks for coming along. Good to see you here. And Noopidstube TV. I hope you're doing very well as well. Mr. Banana, good to see you. It's a shame there was never a Landor A340. Totally agree. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this livery. I think a lot of people are actually. I think, yeah, there we go. Airbus says, love the Landor livery. Bobo7044, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. And I see Lauren and Andy over there moderating. Thank you very much. And Ryan1994, hello to you. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, this is sort of a classic livery. Nano N guy, good to see you as well. And Handog says, far too busy to sim nowadays, but it's great to drop in once in a while. Thanks for coming along, Handog. And yeah, hopefully you can enjoy a bit of this. This is going to be a very relaxed stream. We've not got time pressure here. We're just going to set off as and when we do. The plane is cold and dark, so unusual for a long-haul aircraft. They tend to get fussed over by engineers as soon as they land because they do all their maintenance sort of in their 4 or 5 hour downtime between sectors, whereas short-haul aircraft tend to work all day and then go into their downtime overnight and get worked on by engineers. Lots of short-haulers around today. Excellent. 430, 2570, 464. Look at that over there. Yeah, so we tend to find that these airplanes will sit there getting their maintenance done straight away, long-haul airplanes. So slightly different today. Also, changing the hardware setup for today. I'm going to be going with, thanks for all those follows on Twitch. Do appreciate it. Edvu, Platos, Grimmy, Michael, Flying Guy, CT, Don Final, Crashed the Desktop on Final. Yeah, we all had that. Yeah, thank you all for coming along. Alexander Paz, good to see you. Sharma G says, seriously need some tips to improve landings. I do have some landing tutorials. If you search on YouTube, 320 Sim Pilot landing tutorial, there's a few on there for different airplanes. Yeah, VATSIM is showing a lot of traffic at Heathrow. We are doing quite well today, so this should be good fun. We get ourselves caught. We are the furthest away from the departure runways. I think they're taking off over there. So yeah, right. James Cooper, thank you so much. £20 donation, really kind, James. James says, I survived the New Year party. Glad to see you did too. Here's to another fantastic year, especially as many EU airlines are buying Airbus. Yeah, thank you very much, James. Really appreciate that. That's incredibly generous. James is always very generous and supported the channel so much over the last year and a bit. So yeah, thank you, James. Really, really kind. Yeah, I survived New Year. I was... I've been working quite a lot actually over the festive period, which is great. Totally different to last year. So very happy about that. Still not 100% normal, but certainly more as you'd expect. So yeah, it's been great to be back flying quite regularly, which is why there's been slightly less streams than we would normally have managed, especially if you remember a year ago, just over a year ago now, we did our first long haul in the Virgin Atlantic 350, which was our first sort of heavy long haul aircraft that we used on the channel. So I still remember that. That was great fun. That was a real highlight. I definitely enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, so here we are in the another heavy, but this time obviously 340, a little bit older, a little bit more familiar, you could say. Right, I've been showing you the outside for long enough. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Something I would like to point out is that in this is already released, version 1.01. This is the version 1.02. In 1.01, ToLiss, two things came up with the original 340. Certainly bits that I noticed people wanted to see improved, and that was fuselage texturing and the engine modeling and texturing as well. So it's quite good to see that these are some good VATSIM modeling. I like it. Yeah, it's good to see that they've worked on the fuselage texturing. So you can see here that now those big joins along the fuselage have been softened out in version 1.01. Got some nice details on the windows. It always amazes me. Airliners do look like this. They get so grubby around the windows. I assume just from sitting there in turnarounds. But yeah, it's remarkable. A new aircraft can look like that. It feels like in a few weeks. I mean, it's probably not quite that quickly, but yeah. They've also added some nice engine detailing. So if I zoom through here, there we go. Yeah, so people weren't too impressed with the original engine, so they've worked on them. Not quite see-through, it seems, but yeah, the improved fan blades that seem to actually look a bit more realistic than they did originally. So I'm very happy with it. I'm particularly impressed with these nicer textures on the fuselage, because you can see this is sort of more of the effect we used to have, this tail effect, but over the whole thing. And this is obviously a third-party livery that was built on the original version, unless it's been updated. But yeah. Anyway, right, let's jump in. So I'm using the Wind Wing today, unusually, to use this aircraft. So back to the Wind Wing A3XX grip. That's what we're doing today. Slightly different setup to what I normally have. Joshua E, Happy New Year to you. I'm glad you like the channel. And yeah, we've got loads of obviously coming this year. Loads more we need to get on with and see and try out new airplanes. So thanks again, James, for that super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Right. Okay. Let me just make sure I'm getting all the chats. I have to click the right buttons over here. Happy New Year, Guy. I hope you're doing very well. Yeah, Hayden's been keeps reminding me I need to do some rotary stuff. I might try out that H145. Yeah, absolutely. I just need to relearn how to do it. Vucci says still no Rolls-Royce logos. Yeah, but remember, so this isn't a first party. This is a third party delivery. So I need to check how that works actually. This is stand 534 is where we are. Right, let us power up the airplane. So we are going to obviously deal with the usual. We can actually see the... I'm trying to remember all the differences. It's been a while. But yeah, good voltage on the batteries. So batteries are coming on. External power. Oh, should have probably done A and then B, but there we go. Airplane's powering up. Let me know if that audio is no good. Oh.
Bye-bye.
Oh, this is a glitch. I don't know why my computer is doing this. So I do apologise if you get that effect where it suddenly jumps loud. I'll remember that it's doing that. Yeah, so most sector to norm, landing gear lever down, wipers off, batteries checked auto, external power is on. Let's run the fire test. Where's the APU fire test? It's over here. All good. So let's get the APU up and running. I'm literally just using 320 SOPs here, or not fully SOPs, but close to. I'm going to get the APU up and running now because I'll forget it later. Let's check our oxygen. Yeah, we've got crew oxygen, got hydraulic fluids, and we've got the oh yeah, of course it's all different. I mean, I haven't flown this since our last stream, so I'm running slightly behind with all the systems, so I'm going to have to try and learn it all again. MGS1, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Right. Yeah, so there we go. Hydraulics and finally engine oil. Oil quantity. Or quarts, 18.5. Loads. Good stuff. Right, overhead panel. IRS is on. EasyJet to Dubrovnik. Very good. Let's go strobes to auto. We're using this drag system. Put the nav lights to 1. And I think that'll do. That's fine. We'll put the no smoking. Haven't done the fuel yet. Arm those. Okay. Don't need to touch the anti-ice. Don't need probe window heat. Cabin pressure is in auto and auto. We'll let the AP run for a little bit before we turn on the bleed, but otherwise it's set as per normal, as we'd want. External power is on. Fuel tanks, fuel pumps are all on. Hydraulic systems are all on. And we can test all the fire at once. Excellent. Much better. Better than the 320 where we can't do that. Good. Standby radio panel. Okay, that all looks great to me. Yeah, there's been some adjustments in the textures in the cockpit, but also some adjusters in the sounds, which is good news. Okay, so the IRSs are aligning. Then we're going to go to our MCDU. So data, yeah, that's as good as it's going to get for now. And then we go init A. We're going from EGLL to LE. Let me get it right. LEMD. James Cooper says, just like in my line of work, we get a shiny new vehicle, but it looks nasty after a few runs at work because the newbies get the keys. Yeah, yeah, they do. They don't last long in the nice new clean schemes. So what is this? What's new in this update? Is it major or minor? It's a relatively minor update. I'll definitely say that. But we've got updates to the taxi camera. We've got some new sound effects, which are particularly good. And they've added some little things like chocks and changed the way the tyres rotate, so they look a bit more realistic on landing, especially if you're using them for the replays. So there's Heathrow to Madrid. We're going to be the Speedbird 299. Passenger number, we have 299 passengers. Cost of next today is going to be 144. They always seem to be much higher on these long-haul aircraft. And we're going to cruise at flight level 390. Good stuff. Alternate is LEAB. Lima Echo Alpha Bravo. Great. IRS and it's there we go. It's just going to do it on the GPS, so I won't fiddle with that. And let's get that route loaded in. So, where are they departing from? Let's grab an ATIS. Right, they are departing. Departure runway 27 right. So we're going to go 27 right. We're going out via Gogsy 2 Foxtrots, and no transition. So there we go. Gogsy Airways. So we were in America for our last stream, and it was quite a change. So it's we're back in Europe, back in our more normal comfort zone. Now, comfort zones are always a dangerous thing, especially in flying, because it's the moment you feel comfortable that you're likely to miss something. So I'll probably find myself getting into trouble immediately because I'm back where we're used to flying holiday routes in Europe. But there we go. We'll do our best. Lel that. No, that's not going to work. Lel that. And yeah, I do apologise. There's loads going on in the chat. I was running a little bit behind as ever. Sim is very quiet. Okay, I'll turn it up a bit more. See how that goes. Ollie Nut says, would love to fly along today. It's the first time I've been in the stream for a while, but won't be able to go later. Will there be a stream on Sunday? I'm not sure about Sunday, actually. Sorry, not sure right now. Elliot doing well at 4:14 a.m. in Australia. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we'll have to do some morning ones. I will stream at some point in the morning soon. Probably an ad hoc sort of stream. Right, there we go. So that goes to Lelnet. Because I've been learning the Feelish 747-200. Lelnet to Novan, obviously the closer one at 335 miles. Then direct to Delog, so I can just put that right in here. Novan, Delog. Then I've got to insert it. Airways. Upper November 864 to Nantu, which is the start of the arrivals into Madrid. And here they've given us the 2 Charlie for 3-2 lefts. So let's just put that in now. 3-2 left Zulu. Nantu 2 Charlie. I'm going to guess that we're via insert. Right, there we go. We have a flight plan. So that is data and it's a flight plan. Secondary, we're just going to copy the active over. Radnav, going to leave it auto tuning. Init B is to come. Good stuff. So let's load it all up. We've got about 10 tons of cargo, 299 passengers. They're sitting near the back of the airplane, which is probably what you expect. These longer aircraft tend to be nose heavy. The 321 is the same. The Q400 is the same. They tend to have a habit of being too nose heavy. So yeah, it's quite common. So they're sitting further at the back. That's why you might find yourselves all crammed in the back, even if you think the whole airplane's empty. It used to frustrate passengers on the Q400, I remember, because they'd see an empty airplane and think, well, why can't we sit in that space? But it was just out of trim if you tried. Yeah. Anonymous has tipped $1. Sound dev for this update here. Would you mind turning up the sounds a bit to showcase it? I absolutely will. I'm just a bit worried about the ATC audio, so when we get to the engines and flicking some more switches, I'll definitely turn them up. Those new sounds are super. I really like them. So yeah, great work on that, and we will absolutely be listening to them. You guys keep me updated if you think you can handle a bit more ambient audio. You let me know. And James Cooper, very kind. James has helped out again with another £10 super chat. James says, just for the first officer this time, tag me in a photo of her surrounded in Dreamies. Anyway, aviation, absolutely, I will do. Yeah, she has a huge tub of Dreamies at the moment available to her. So thank you, James. Really appreciate it. And thanks so much for supporting the channel as ever. Yeah, very kind. Drone Aura, Happy New Year to you. Thanks so much for coming along. I hope you're doing well. And James Marden, good to see you here. And Mr. Chippy says, don't fly off the end of the runway. Oh dear. I haven't heard about that A380 incident. No. Well, we'll try not to do that. We shall try not. 180 is the highest cost on sim brief. Okay, yeah. Long haulers really don't go above that. Okay, yeah. So short haulers tend to be much lower. Elliot says, good to be here, but should really be sleepy. Yeah. Alex Nightingale, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. And yeah, of course, thank you again to James for that. Very kind. Right. Okay, I think the chat's called out. Right, good stuff. Right, anyway, there's the loading. So I'm going to go with 40 tons of fuel. We only need to take 25.7, but it's going to be a mess. So we'll imagine we're tankering fuel. And we'll go for flaps 2, because I got in trouble last time I flew this and didn't use flap 2 with the active flight plan, which is from 27 right at Heathrow. It's got the CG and the trim, so let's load it up. So 0 fuel weight is 225.7. 0 fuel weight CG 28.5. In it goes. Block fuel, it is all loaded. We've got 40 tons. Take away 264 tons, landing at 248 tons because we're not going to burn much. Trip fuel 15.6 over 1 hour 50, which is about what we expected. 4 tons to get to the alternate. Final reserve 3.5 tons. That is a lot of fuel with an extra 15 tons. Into performance then, 27 right. We've got no shift. Flaps are going to be 2, and we're going to stick in the trim of up 2.0. Otherwise, it gets upset with us. It should automatically set that for us when we start up the engines, which is a feature of the 340-600 in order to make it more... Oh, we've got to put in the F for this. To make it more or less prone to tail striking. Yep, so speeds 157, 157. 161. Great stuff. So that'll make sense to just now shoot 6,000. And that's it. That's our diff strip done. So we can get rid of that. That's all loaded. Let me just check it is. Got our 40 tons. Good. And we can start to close up the doors. Now, something I would like to see ToLiss do is just have a button. The auto mode is pretty good, actually. Maybe I should put them all into auto and see what happens. Let's do that. I would like it if we could just have one option to close all doors. So if we put them into auto, when the beacon goes on, it should definitely close up the last bits. And that is it. Good. We've got our wing view set up. Let's get the ground stuff driving away. Passengers are all on. Obviously the jetty's broken, so they've had to use our buses. Great. X-Plane is 11.32 euros worth of dollars, says Colt. So X-Plane, the thing with X-Plane is you'd have to pay... Oh no, ignore me. There is the excellent Zebo 737, which is a free mod for X-Plane 11. But yeah, you need to know if that's going to be your sort of thing or not. Because certainly the scenery graphics don't tend to be as good. Certainly the auto-generated stuff is obviously nowhere near Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's just a fact. But the handling and the depth simulation is all very good. But I mostly fly around pay-wet aircraft now. But there is the Zebo mod 737-800, which is one of the best 737-800s out there, and that's free. So, oh yeah. So people are talking about there's a 777, I believe, that took off. Mr. Chippy says that autopilot altitude is set to 0 on takeoff, apparently causing the plane not to rotate. So yeah. So. I believe that was a 777, but I've seen the reports on that. But I say reports; they're not really reports. It's just reports will come out. They'll take a bit of time to come out and find out. Yeah, the ground handling is good. This is an add-on for X-Plane, though. It is an add-on. It's not included like that. I had to pay for that ground handling deluxe. I really like it. Some people don't really like it at all, but I think it's good fun. Also, look at that. They actually drive off out the way. That's good. So whoever made this set knew what they were doing. Anyway, I'm completely digressing. I'm using an RTX 3080, Happy Peep. Mike says, do you use SAM Jetway and Ground Handling Deluxe? Because then I have config files that can make both control the doors. I think I have SAM Jetways, but I don't know how to use it very well. It's sort of luck if it does or does not work. It's almost random. Thanks, Richard V. Yeah, if you're watching along and you're interested, we have a Discord which is full of very helpful people who work very hard to help everybody out, and also just a place to chat and enjoy flight sim. And we've got different sections for the different sims. So if you're not an X-Plane but you're on Microsoft and vice versa, it's all on there. So yeah, highly recommend it. The Discord's one of my yeah, I'm very proud of it. As I was saying to the mods the other day, it's yeah, it's a really great thing. Right, let us. That's where we are. 27 right over there. We need a departure. Should change frequency. I'm not sure why we can hear. I'm not sure why we can hear all this breakthrough. Actually, we're not on the right frequency, I don't think. And we said we're going via. Was it Gogsy? Gogsy. So take off 27 right. Gogsy 2 Foxtrot. London. Sam. 6,000 feet. It's clearly the stopping altitude on that. And we will get our clearance from air traffic shortly. So for now, I'm just going to put in 6 and then just put 5.9 so I know. Let me just check that ATIS again. Get the last bit of information. So that was information India. 27 right, transition level 75, surface wind was 2208, so light headwind for takeoff, temperature 10, QNH is 1005. So QNH 1. Oh, what's going on here? Why can't I do that? There we go. 1005, 1005. It's giving us about 100 feet, and the airfield elevation is 83 feet, so that works. And let's check the coding. Plan, zoom in. There it is, out we go. GPS primary, excellent, so it's all aligned. Routing looks good, taking us down to Gogsey. And then we'll climb further. We're going to do 764 miles. Arrive with 23 tons, excellent news. The chat is going really quickly, so I do apologise. I'm missing absolutely loads here. But yeah, John Reed Music, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I will indeed fly the fly-by-wire A380, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, the first officer is complaining. Are you going to join us, or are you just going to complain? No, she is just going to complain, and now she's walking out. And she's gone. She might try again later. Joanne, I'm glad you enjoyed the Innsbruck stuff. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that was a good time. I remember that. Feels like yesterday. Yeah, absolutely agreed with you too. This livery was made for the for this aircraft. It just works so well. Now, let me work out why the frequencies. Oh, Elitius Maggie, thanks so much for your £20 super chat. Very kind. Really, really appreciate it. Elitius Maggie says, Happy New Year, Captain. All the best in 2022. Thanks so much, Elitius Maggie. Really appreciate it. And thanks for supporting the channel so much over the last year and a bit as well. So, yeah, very kind. James Cooper, Elise Maggie, thank you for those very kind donations. Right, if you are watching along, do please leave a like on YouTube. It does make a big difference to the channel if you're enjoying it. Okay, so that's our route loaded. We've done the MCDU. And let us... got the chart. Taxiing wise, well, we'll see what air traffic gives us. We do need to grab our clearance. Let me do that. And then I've just realised I actually have a checklist I have with me normally for these, and I've left it somewhere else. We have to go and run and grab that. But let me get clearance from air traffic. So we've got the ATIS. There's a tower frequency. There's approach frequency. So the tower frequency is 1185. So why can we hear anything? I'm surprised it's breaking through. Ah, that'll be why. Box 2 was turned on.
1825 negative. I can't see my SMR at the moment. Do you mind just reconnecting so I can see you again, please?
Yeah, so I find... Well, let's see how this goes. I've also set the trigger...
Straight ahead, link 21, link 23, hold Alpha 1. Straight ahead, link 21, link 23, hold Alpha 1, 1 for 3. Good evening, Scandinavian 522 at stand 223 is 737-600 information India QNH 1005 request.
Let's try and get a word in now.
Scandinavian 522 Heathrow Tower.
Brian, we have not done Concorde yet. Yeah, that is still a concern of mine to keep trying. We have constraints. Let's get the APU bleed on. GPUs are gone. This is going to be very busy. If we've got one controller doing tower and delivery.
2570, stand 508, push start approved, facing north. Push start approved, face north, speedbird 2570.
Heathrow speedbird 299. A340-600, stand 534. We have information India. QNH 1005, request clearance Madrid. Yeah, he's too busy for this. Chris? Yeah, indeed, I haven't updated nav data. I thought I had. Thought I had. Speedbird 299.
299 Heathrow ground, hello, cleared Madrid, Gogsey 2 Foxtrot departure, runway 27 right, squawk 4457.
Clear to Madrid, Gogsey 2 Foxtrot departure, 27 right, squawk 4457, speedbird 299.
299, correct.
Good. So we said Gogsy 2 Foxtrot, which is what we've got.
Heathrow taxi left Alpha.
Squawk
Left Alpha, speedboat 1 Papa, thank you.
4
1
4
Foxtrot
5
27 left.
7. There it is. Let's check that setup right. Standby on. Yeah, good. Let's put that to above.
13 Papa taxi left.
Right. I think we're running out of things to do here. All the pumps are on.
115 left Alpha.
Time to.
Speedboat 13 Papa.
China 1825, request departure from Juliet 3. 1825 Heathrow Tower. I still can't see your MSFS. I'm not entirely wrong.
Hopefully that will just connect the tug. Oof. Frame rate's taking a hit there. GPUs are showing up. So let me... I think this is a ToLiss thing. So ground services, get rid of the chocks. And the external powers are off. So they should be disconnected. So they won't affect us, which is good news. Right. While the tug connects, I'll be back in just a moment.
Heathrow Tower, hello, clear Madrid, Gogsy 2 Foxtrot departure, 27 right, squawk 6316.
Madrid, Gogsy 2 Foxtrot departure, 27 right, squawk 6316, Iberia 3163.
3163, correct, the information is Juliet QNH 1005, break speed 153, contact Heathrow director 119.75.
Ready to connect.
119.75, sir.
China 1825, ready for departure.
Base 198 Foxtrot, welcome to Heathrow, taxi right Alpha.
Okay, so there's the tug.
Base 198 Foxtrot, welcome to Heathrow, taxi right Alpha.
Yeah, it has gone straight through the GPUs. And I thought I had...
Afternoon,
I'm just checking, I had a checklist
10 minutes ago, but I disconnected and was having a few troubles, but we're back, so we're ready
for...
for taxi currently.
I thought I had a checklist for the 340, but I've become... Yes, I do have a checklist for the 340. Good stuff, right. That's better. This is very slick, very professional, as you can tell, this stream. So, let's do our 4-star checklist. Copy prep is completed. We were talking last stream about how these checklists aren't instructions. You couldn't actually fly the airplane using them because cockpit prep includes something like, it must be 50 at least switches. And in the checklist is just one item. Anyway, that's completed. Gear pins and covers removed. Signs on and auto. ADIS are in nav. Fuel quantity, we have our 40 tons. Let's just check it did all go in the right place. We've got 7 tons for each engine, then there's some outer tanks, 4.5. Excellent. Takeoff data is all set and set in there. Oh yeah, we can put our 6,000 feet in the window as well. There it is. And Barrier F is on 1005. Right, the next bit's below the line, so let's call for push and start.
Just confirm your aircraft flight and stand number.
Yes, aircraft type A320, stand 517, QNH 1013.
Yeah, it really is, Kitty. Absolutely, the FO is immediately making a point there. There is a checklist in the tutorials documentation. I'll have a look for that. Thanks. I did find this one online somewhere. I think it seems to work. It's pretty similar to an Airbus checklist, really. And yeah, thank you again to Elisa's Maggie for that very kind donation.
Sorry, the Ryanair calling. I can't see you on my SMR. Do you mind disconnecting, please? 205 from Sierra Bravo 3, runway 27 left, subsequent 21.
35. We're doing all right. This is not bad for 30 minutes later. We're pushing back. Speedbird 299 request push start stand 534.
Good 299 stand 534 push and start approved facing north.
Push shot approved face north. Speedbird 299. Right.
205 from Sierra Bravo 3, runway 27 left, subsequent 21.
North. Gonna be that way. Oh, there's all the short haulers. Let's go. Right. Before we do that, those are idle. Below line. Windows doors closed. Beacon is on. Thrust levers are at idle. Next is parking brake, but what I will also do is put this to auto. Right, okay. Off we go. So, brakes released. Start the clock. we may start engines. Now, I believe we can start 2 engines at once. Certainly it works in the ToLiss.
From Sierra Bravo 3, runway 27 left, surface winds 210.
Fantastic. Glorious. Absolutely love it. What a sight we never get to see, eh? Right, let's start up engines 3 and 4. I'm going to do both, see how it works. So we've got pressure, 40 psi. So if we start engine 4, and I'm going to turn up the audio, but you may just get a lot of air traffic stuff, so I do apologise if that happens.
Heathrow Tower, hello, Austrian 04 Echo. Information Juliet 1005, looking for clearance to Frankfurt as filed.
Falling with Tango, cancel takeoff clearance, hold down for 3.
Holding down for 3, speedbird 41.
Might just turn it off. Now, you wouldn't do this in real life, but we're just going to do this while we start the engines up. I haven't tried the engine startup. The spooled up sounds are fantastic. Definitely improve that intake fan.
Thank you. Cleared Frankfurt, Detling to Foxtrot departure, runway 27 right, 7 squawk 0477.
Depart 27 right for Detling to Foxtrot departure and squawk 3477, Austrian 04 Echo.
04 Echo, negative, squawk 0477.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Good falling with Tango, fly Alpha 3, line up to 7 right.
And up and wait to be right for 327 right, speedbird 41.
Speedbird 56 Pub Whiskey, stand 535, ready for push and start. 56 Pub Whiskey, your tower, hello, stand by. Falling with Tango, runway 27 right, surface winds 210 degrees, 7 knots, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff to 7 right, speedbird 41.
Tower, hello, Speedbird 6 is an A320 NEO, stand 336, information Juliet requesting clearance to Edinburgh. My FedEx 205 Heathrow.
Cell is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Speedbird 6 is an A320 NEO, stand 336 with information Juliet requesting clearance to Edinburgh. Speedbird 6 Heathrow Tower, hello, cleared Edinburgh, umlaut 1 Foxtrot departure 27 right, squawk 5640. Umlaut 1 Fox departure 27 right, 5640, Speedbird 6. Speedbird 6, correct.
I'm talking to nobody. I'm talking to nobody again, that's my fault. I've been chatting away. It was going to happen. Yeah, good luck to Infinite 224. The ATPLs do come to an end eventually. And yeah, good luck to you for your exams tomorrow. We are indeed on VATSIM. And apparently, yeah, I was just reading that message that we should have started. Thanks Thomas Mortimer for the info on the engine starts. Thomas always has the latest information. But yeah, that sequence should have been 2 and 1, then 3 and 4 with 10-second gap between each pair. But there we go. That is indeed a classic Hayden. So, available, and I hope you all saw me gesturing with my mouse that this has run the trim automatically after engine start, which is very good. It's a very impressive feature. I think all the Airbuses should have it. Just run straight to the trim. And the reason was this airplane, obviously, they were nervous of tail strikes given its size. So we've waved goodbye to the ground crew. The engines have started. So we're going to our normal Airbus flow. Master switch. Engine start switch show to norm. Don't need the APU in any shape or form. Don't need any anti-ice. Coming down here, arming the ground spoilers.
Airbus
Centering the
A320
weather trim,
NEO.
setting the flaps to within 2 this time.
For Frankfurt, sorry, with information Juliet on
2.
board. And I'm
Good
currently
stuff,
at
right,
the
after
stand
check,
for
the anti-ice
08.
is off, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim is up to and set, and rudder trim is at 0. After checklist is complete.
Departure, runway 27 right, squawk 7270.
Time to taxi. I did turn down some of my scenery because this is quite a heavy FPS airplane. Before we taxi, let's go to our taxi camera.
Time 01, reback correct.
Push 2, enjoy your supper. Speedbird 299, request taxi.
299, a taxi, Bravo, link 58, right Alpha, hold at Pluto.
Bravo, link 58, right on Alpha, hold at Pluto. Speedbird 299.
With 565 whiskey, give way to the company.
Let's figure that one out. So,
Airbus A340, passing right to left.
we are on
Bravo, stand 535, push
Bravo.
3 facing north.
Bravo, link 58,
Give way to
Alpha,
A340 behind,
Alpha,
and
Alpha.
push start approved facing north.
Give me another chart here.
56 Pop whiskey.
Tower Speedbird 316, stand 517.
Let's
Unit
try.
1038, 20 push and start.
The 316 stand 517, push and start
That's
approved.
the, I think that's a taxiing chart.
Push start
Oh no, that was the
approved,
airport chart.
517.
Taxiing. And there's
Heathrow
Pluto.
Tower,
Right,
Speedbird,
that makes sense. Matches what they
257
said.
was with
So,
you, on taxiway Alpha, we had an issue with the aircraft there. We fixed that. We've reconnected, but someone's
Brakes
taken our
released.
call sign. Do we need request clearance, or can we continue with the taxi from
it's
Alpha
rolling
to
forward
Pluto?
already. That's amazing. Yeah, we're just too light. Let's get the runway turn off and the nose light to taxi.
Roger 7215, and we'll taxi Alpha down to Pluto, Speedbird 2571.
So, there we go. Love it.
3163, stand 507.
M-Flight would like a 340 or A330 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, that would be nice indeed. A320 type rating depends where you do it. Takes about a month if you do the ground school before you get to the actual sim. Yeah, Vic Sanger says we can guess what you're saying. Excellent news.
That's right. 507, push start approved, face north. Iberia 3163.
Mark Burgess off to cook tea for his lads. Watching on the phone. Excellent, Mark. that's dedication.
Bravo 3, 27 right, clear for takeoff, Super 27 Papa Oscar.
Scandinavian 522, ready for
Right, so I'm not using Attila today for a few reasons, but when we turn you'll be able to see it better. But crucially, this camera's been improved, so unfortunately we've got the sun shining right on it, which is sort of slightly ruining the effect. But you can see the flaps now travel in the camera, so you can actually see them, which they didn't do before. And the nose wheel now turns.
We'll just check the squawk there, 7215.
Right, I believe that's where we're going.
7215 for the squawk, Speedbird 2571.
Thanks for the follow, TJ the lads, Luxair Sim Pilots, Funky Butler, Mitch. Hayden was lip reading.
Ready for push start.
Right, here we go then.
04 Echo, push and start approved, facing north.
And if you look down here, it's amazing that the sun's just low enough in the sky there.
For 3163, apologies.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Seem to have spawned in and just decided to push without any contact with me.
Yeah, we had the traffic inside ahead pushing, but
Ooh, that was a bad turn.
We'll take a push
Right,
and
there you
then
go.
we'll
So now the
probably
nose wheel
take-
steers, which is a major complaint of people, because it's quite noticeable when you've got a
Speedbird 6 is ready for
specific
taxi.
feature for it.
For 6,
So yeah, now I really like that. Great work by ToLiss getting that added in, because I thought it must be a frame rate thing.
Tower, Speedbird 19 Mike is inbound on the
That's
ILS,
great.
runway 27 left. 19 Mike,
All these little
Tower,
details.
hello, runway 27 left, subsequent 210.
Let me give the engines a little rev up as well, and you can listen to that
Midland, runway
if
27
they stop
left,
talking for a
Speedbird
few
19
seconds.
Mike.
Actually, we're cleared all the way to Pluto, so let's just turn them off for a sec, and let's hopefully, if you guys can hear the engines. It's great. It's got that real like high-pitched whine. Try it again from the outside. Yeah. Let's try the inside as well. do like that. Right, let's see if we're in trouble. Good, you guys can hear it. Excellent news.
Speedbird 27 Papa Oscar passing through 1,800.
James says the camera on the PFD is like pressing the thumb button on the TTA side stick.
Speedbird 56 Papa Whiskey.
That's the sound of the holiday. Yeah, people like the sound. Yeah, the sounds, I agree. They're a nice step up. I didn't mind the sounds before, to be honest with you. But these are very nice. Right, flight control time.
Charlie, fly Alpha 3, line up 27 right.
Full left.
Flight Alpha 3, line up 27 right.
Full right.
310 Charlie.
Neutral. Full down. Full up. Neutral. And we'll do the rudder. I've not disconnected it from the steering though. That's my bad. But there's full right and full left. The reason is I was just sort of hurriedly setting up my wing grip for this one. Because I haven't tried it in X-Plane yet. So that's what I spent the morning doing. So, 340-600s certainly did operate along these taxiways because, of course, Virgin Atlantic had them up until they got rid of them out their fleets not that long ago, sadly. But there we go. I say not that long ago, it's been a little while now. We'll press that for takeoff, and we're going to press that. And we're going to run the before takeoff checklist.
Runway 27 right, cleared for
Before
takeoff.
takeoff, flight controls are checked, flight instruments are confirmed. Sorry, checked. I'm not used to this checklist. It's slightly different to the, obviously, to my my normal one, and also the one we use with the Airbus 321. Briefing is confirmed. Flat setting config 2 and config 2. V1, VRV2 flex temp are all set. Just put that back to the captain. There we are, all set and set in the MCDU.
Hello, Lufthansa 58 November 9.
ATC is set. I've already set it to transponder, but I'm going to put it to TARA now as well. And ECAM memo is takeoff no blue. That's down to line. We're rolling along to Pluto still. Padstow says, did BA operate the 340? No, this is a fictional livery. Sadly, we never got to see this. John Pepper says, evening all, evening 3 Jonathan Pilot. Update looks awesome. When's it coming out? We haven't got a release date yet, but I don't think it's far away. And I've got a whole list of things that have been improved. But yeah, the sounds are a big one. There's an animated ram air turbine now as well, which we may or may not get to see. Hydraulic lines on the landing gear. I think a few improvements actually to the landing gear. Yeah, maybe that's these lines here. So it has just improved in general since the release version we saw. It is noticeable. It's a really nice looking add-on now. It was already nice, but there were a few things people weren't too impressed with. Anyway, it's not for me to tell you. It's up for you guys to decide. I can see it's lagging on the stream. That's not. It's not the aircraft or my sim, it's the stream software. I don't know what to do about it unless I get another computer to stream from, which is not realistic. So, yeah, I don't know if it's my processor or, yeah, what I'm going to do about that. It does happen. Looks just glorious, though. Also, long-haul aircraft do taxi at about this speed. They just don't go anywhere. They don't go very fast. There's a fictional Ryanair livery for this too. There you go, John. Yeah, there you go. There's a Ryanair livery for the 340. Let's have a look at that. That's very funny. Padstow says, thumbs up inside, looking good. This channel does. Thank you very much, Padstow. If you leave a like on the video on YouTube, that makes a big difference to us as well. James says, watch the TY video from BBC News of the last 747 using this livery. Landed over King's Skies. Ah, yeah. Must have been a YouTube video, I suppose, yeah. You no longer have to ding the cabin. It depends, Michael Nash, you can... Oh, someone's going around. There they go. Let's see them head up into the air. Hey, oh, that's a big one. Looks like a 350 to me. Crawling at 12 knots, yeah. That's normal. And there they are on the TCAS. Climbing away. Yeah, that's great. And there's the next one on approach. Ah, it's busy. This is great. Yeah, so cabin is not... Doesn't seem to be on here in the 340-600 signs. So the cabin being secured was a later thing in the Airbus short-haul family.
Tower Speedbird 6, I've gone the wrong way. Am I alright to do a U-turn here and go
Let's
back
ding
up towards Alpha 1?
the cabin, just in case. So they know what's going on. Yeah, but it says TCAS now available on fly-by-wire experimental. So we're back to experimental on the fly-by-wire. Okay, I'll give that a go. Because we were told last time it should work in multiplayer. I have to give that a go.
Bravo link 21, Speedbird.
I have not experimented with the bus on this exact airplane, Thomas. No, I have not. Good point.
Report heading to Heathrow Director 119.725.
Was there? Says evening all picked up the 319 today for XP11 as the weather of Microsoft Flight Simulator is taking extended Xmas leave. Oh yes, I've heard that the weather's not quite as accurate as it should be. Excellent. Well, enjoy the ToLiss 319. Very nice. Andrew Bjorn, good to see you. Yeah, we're getting there. Oh, where's Pluto's the next one, isn't it? Too busy doing the chat. Yeah, good. Okay, got away with that. Andy Robinson, thanks so much for your $10 super chat. Really appreciate it. And he says, Happy New Year, Cap. I got my 85-year-old ex-pilot uncle to try Microsoft Flight Simulator yesterday. He was surprisingly good. Excellent, Andy. Thanks so much for your very kind donation. Really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel. And yeah, that's great. It's great. Hopefully they enjoyed jumping into Microsoft Flight Simulator. But it's like riding a bike, I'm sure. He probably barely forgot any of it. But thanks very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it, Andy. Thanks for supporting us. Indeed, we are in the B8 Landor livery. Of course, in the cabin, don't forget, we have our taxi cameras. They do, I'd say there's probably, on my machine, about a 10 FPS hit having this turned on. ToLiss in version 1.01 added the ability to turn it off, which is quite useful.
Hello, Speedbird 108, establish ILS.
To improve the frame rates, because you can see they're pretty brutal when you're looking at them.
Continue approach 108.
Right, we better stop here. They were developed at the same time, Padstow, and it is basically, it's a longer range, slightly higher capacity, higher weight version of the 330. Yeah. Alright, let's bring ourselves to stop at Pluto.
It's true, Tower 4.
Brake set.
I'm ready for push and start.
Let's get that radar on.
I'm 01, Roger, stand
Multi-scan to auto. Ground clutter suppression to auto. System 1, bridge of engine to auto. Right.
6, taxi, right link 21, left link 22.
I think we're getting there.
Right 21, left 22, and hold Alpha 2, Speedbird 6.
Hardware NVENC if you're using streamers. I will check that. But there's two versions of NVENC. There's a new one as well, so I'm not entirely sure which version I'm supposed to be using. Thomas, thanks for your subscription. Thanks again, Andy, for that very kind donation. Yeah, Mr. Nana says, I hope those taxi cams of passengers make an appearance on future short haulers. I very much doubt it. Sadly, it's getting rarer and rarer to see screens installed on short haul aircraft, even when they traditionally would have been. So, yeah, I think the days of having cameras looking around the airplane are sort of coming to an end with the 380. But maybe the 350 has it actually. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. Maybe it's just a short haul thing. But I doubt we'll see it. I know 757s did at one point. I remember seeing them.
Link 21 and left on link 22 and hold Alpha 2.
Thanks for all those subscriptions and follows. Really appreciate it.
108 runway 27 left, surface winds 210 degrees 7 knots, clear to land.
Good land, runway 27 left, Speedbird 108.
Yeah, we'll have to try out. We will try out Microsoft Flight Simulator to check out the TCAS on that fly-by-wire soon, definitely. Blueberry King, good to see you. Thanks for joining us over on Twitch. Chris Drew says, on takeoff, if you leave the taxi cam on, will the PFD revert to the artificial horizon after passing a certain speed? It does. I think at 60 knots, it automatically goes to become a PFD. Jack Ross, good to see you. Multitasking as well, yeah, very good. Yeah, the taxi cam.
6 cancelled takeoff clearance. I again cancelled takeoff clearance.
No, I'm not sure. Oof.
Speedbird 6, I'm already in the air. Speedbird 6, Roger.
Yeah. Air traffic cancelling a takeoff clearance is.
6, make an immediate right turn heading.
Yeah, that's more what you'd expect. Doing a high-speed rejected takeoff is a dangerous manoeuvre. Something I need to talk about actually. There's been a few incidents lately. I don't normally talk about real-world incidents, but there's been some interesting things going on. But high-speed rejected takeoffs are inherently they are safe, but they are obviously not to be taken lightly. So air traffic control telling you to reject usually comes only for very, very serious high-risk situations that they need to do that. It does happen, but yeah, it's not ideal. So I'm not sure why the Speedbird 6 there was told to stop, but if they were at high speed and they rejected, yeah, it could be bad. So we've got Austrian over there, a couple of short hauls, SAS 73, we're all here. So we are the problem because obviously everybody needs more time behind us. A350 certainly does have cameras, it's beautiful. Oh, thanks, Elliot. The Aerosoft says, do you put transponder out, transponder off on pushback? It goes to auto on pushback. This bit altitude reporting stays on. But you have to put it to auto so that air traffic gets informed. Flying for Fun says, much prefer this livery to the current one. There you go.
543, speed 108.
But 299, hold out for 3.
Hold out for 3, speed 299. Alpha 3. Right, that I can see 4. I can see 3. Brakes released. So we're good. We just got to do the below the line when we get to that part of the checklist. Get the last of the lights on.
Heathrow, Tower for Cotam 01, ready for taxi. Cotam 01, Roger taxi, right, Sierra, hold Sierra Bravo 3.
Massimo says, I use the old MBE and C1 with an RTX 3060. Works a treat when compared to the new one where I experienced some issues to what you're having. Okay, I'll try the old one then. I think I'm on that, but I might not be. Paddy, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Paddy says, Fly-by-wire experimental now has overfly and other LNAV improvements. Excellent. I'll have a look at that. Oh, that might be me. I might have missed that.
The 299 behind the departing Austrian Airbus A320 via Alpha 3, line up 27 right behind.
Behind departing Austrian A320 via Alpha 3, line up and wait 27 right behind. Speedbird 299. Right, there they go. Clear on the approach.
Yes, I can.
Lights on. On.
November Mike, Roger taxi Bravo, hold it Titan.
And try and keep it on the taxiway. It's amazing how I can have the cockpit on the taxiway and then not really be on it.
Say again, Lufthansa 8 November Mike. Hold it Titan.
So when I'm talking about above and below line, it's a checklist feature. I don't have a visible checklist to show you that, but yeah. Austrian's going, so we're going to go and line up. Right, below line takeoff runway is 27 right. We've got cabin crew are advised, TCAS is TRA, engine start select is norm, and packs are all on. It's before takeoff.
Taxi right, Foxtrot, right again onto Bravo, hold it Titan.
Completes. Such a beast. Look at the size of it. Probably a bit fast there. Always easier from the outside, even with the camera. Oh, gonna go through it a bit there. Right. There we go. Camera to normal. Adjust my seating position. And we're pretty much ready to go. So just holding it on the brakes. Next step is to get into the air. Ah, good idea. Andy says if you save the checklist into charts, you can put on screen. Yeah, good idea. Thanks, Andy. Yeah.
Alright, Link 21, Link 23, hold Alpha 1. Speedbird 306. 522, give way to the British Airways Airbus A320, passing left to right on Bravo, and continue right.
Jonathan says, would you use ADF to navigate? Very rarely, but we can do. Very rare these days. We've already got TARA. It says TA only because we're on the ground, but the switch is in TARA, which is accurate to what the airplane does.
For Echo, contact Heathrow Director 119.725, goodbye.
Exclamation mark route into the chat should get you the route.
299, runway 27 right, Southwest winds 210 degrees 7 knots, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 27 right, speed 299. Good stuff.
Station early asking for clearance again, caution only.
We're ready to go. Start the clock, take off.
Sam 001 at Sierra Bravo 3, cross runway 27 left. Once vacated, hold.
I might just turn up the sounds a bit, see if this works for you guys.
Crossing the 27 left.
You let me know if that's too loud. Hopefully you can hear the airplane a bit. Two clicks forward, man flex 59, SOS and runway. All the rest is blue and arms.
675 Heathrow Tower, hello, continue approach 27 left.
Continuing 27 left, speedbird 675.
Sam 001 expedite.
There's 100 knots, that's neutral.
Charlie, information Juliet.
Right rudder needed.
Airbus A320, stun 231, QNH 1005. Requesting clearance for IFR to Paris, please.
Ford Alpha Charlie, Heathrow Tower, hello, clear to Paris.
One. Rotate.
Departure, squawk 6240.
Huge takeoff roll.
Squawk 6240, maximum.
Up we go, that tail strike pointer moving. Oh, a bit too much there. And positive climb. Gear up. Nav.
Thank you, taxi right
And we don't need to pitch any further. It's so tempting. And then it's blended into normal law. And that's it.
So taxing via
Can leave the side stick alone now. Still, we do have excess energy. Suggests I had a bit of a slow rotation there. Gear takes ages to come up from this airplane as well.
Clear to land 27 left, speedbird 675.
Because normally we'd expect the speed to be sort of V2 plus 10, maybe something like that.
1844, taxi Bravo, hold it tight.
Right, acceleration altitude. Thrust levers come back a click to climb. Thrust climb. All the thrusts.
3 fire Alpha 3, line up 27 right. Line up 27 right, line 3.
And flaps to 1.
299, I contact Heathrow direct, 119725, goodbye.
119725, so 299, bye.
Bye.
Excellent controller, doing a fantastic job with so much going on.
November, Mike, taxi right, link 21, left link 22, hold out.
Here. Oh, there's auto retraction of the flaps. We can also go flaps to 0. Let's get that autopilot in so I can tune in 119725.
After 8 November, Mike, taxi right, link 21, left link 22, hold out.
Let's say again, 29 Golf.
Move it 29 Golf. Further left turn now, heading 350.
350, speed 29 Golf.
Now we're doing Galaxy 2 Foxtrots. London, good evening, speedbird 299er. Galaxy 2 Foxtrot passing 4,200, climbing 6,000 feet.
Speedbird 299, Heathrow director, hello, climb down, flight level 150.
Go on now, flight level 150, speedbird 299. Right, in it goes.
Heathrow director, good evening, speedbird 1759 with
And
you,
pull.
7,000 feet.
We're going to set standards. That's just come up and climb, outblue 150.
1759, Heathrow director, hello.
Flaps gone to 0, so
flight heading 0, cushion 220.
disarm the ground spoilers. Get
Fly
rid
heading
of the nose
20
lights.
degrees, speedbird 1759.
Speedbird 1759.
Right, after takeoff, climb checks landing gear is
altitude
up.
6,000
Flaps
feet,
retracted.
QNH 1005.
Flaps are on. Barrier is
6,000 feet,
standard.
QNH
That's the after takeoff climb
1005,
checks,
speedbird
please.
1759.
Speedbird 299, left turn, director Lelner.
Left turn Lelner, speedbird 299. Already a shortcut. That's way away, Lelner, excellent. Nav, and away we go.
Speedbird 29 Golf, left turn, heading 30 degrees. 30, that's good, Shuttle 7 Papa, lead Bobbiton, heading 125. Shuttle 7 Papa, lead Bobbiton, heading 125. Lead Bobbiton, heading 125, Shuttle 7 Papa. Speedbird 29 Golf, descent to altitude 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet, 29 Golf. Speedbird 29 Golf on the heading, established localizer 27 left.
So lots of good feedback for the engine sounds. So there you go. To whoever's, sorry, I didn't get the name. Whoever's in the chat works on those, but yeah, really, they are much improved.
001, leave Lambourne,
It's very
heading
nice now.
210 degrees.
Alpha Lambourne heading 210
How's the audio? Because normally I'd expect it to be too loud.
29904 Echo, apologies, we had a comms issue there. Question 04 Echo, no worries, you can monitor Unicom 122.8. Over to Unicom next, yeah, question 04 Echo. Speedbird 299, Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
1228, speedbird 299, thanks for that, bye. 122.8. Right, well, we're on to Unicom. We're through 10,000 feet. Passengers can run around. we're going up to 390. Let me just check. Is there any reason not to? Recommend max 4.1, so we go all the way to 3.9. Back to normal. There we go. 3.9. So let's just climb, open climb. Out cruise arm. Interesting. You don't see that on the short haul. It would just say out, and then it would go into out cruise when you get there. But this one knows already. Interesting. We've got the airports on there. Red nav is clear. Secondary. Let's copy. Good stuff. And away we go. Very quick, these airplanes. Look at that, climbing at 320 knots, 3,200 feet per minute. I know we're light, but still, it's still very impressive what we can do. Burnt 3 tons, plus 37, there's about 40 tons. Yeah, that's working out. 3 tons already. Ah, audio is nice. Okay, great. Fine. John's already flown the Ryanair A340. Excellent. ETA in Madrid. Now, all the times are wrong, but this is 13:22 in the sim. We're arriving at 15:07. So, you know, 1 hour 50, maybe a bit less. Maybe we arrive in there. Does terrain work? Yes, terrain does work. Great news. Radar on the other side. Already 68 knots of wind. Oh, did I load in the wind? That is... We did the request, but it hasn't worked. Oh no, it has worked. Yeah, it's still an average wind for the cruise. Great. Yeah, weather radar and terrain will be good in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That is agreed. That'll be one day. Guys, going to do a 1 hour 44-8 flight. Excellent. Enjoy that. Yeah, Sky 173, totally agree. Chris Drew says, the out-cruise blue during the climb is modelled accurately. It appears when you wind to cruise level to the FC during your climb. Yeah, so absolutely. It's just interesting that the short hauls don't do that. They would just say out when you get out star, and then it would go out cruise straight away. But it doesn't arm out cruise. I'm saying this confidently. If I'm wrong, I can only apologise. It could be different fits. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just says out. It's one of those things that I would never really notice. You just get used to looking for the out blue. Brian wrong. I think the weather radar works. It's just you need some quite severe weather for it to pick anything up. CPDLC, I don't know. I think that was last time I looked at this. That was to be done. Because most of this said work in progress. Yeah, I don't think that's working just yet. If we try here, yeah. So, as far as I can see, no way for us to do it. Nope. Blind Bun says, is there any major difference between out and out cruise other than the program cruise level? Yeah, there is actually. So out normal would just level the airplane off and it would fly in altitude capture mode where it will maintain the flight level, in this case 390, and it will just sit there and maintain it. But out cruise is when the airplane knows that this is your cruise level, so it's not an intermediate one, it's where you're going to stay for the whole flight. And what it does is it will allow the airplane to wander. I think it's about 100 feet either way, maybe a little bit more than that actually. Maybe 150 feet. It allows the airplane to climb and descend whilst maintaining that level, which sounds a bit silly, but the reason it does it is it tries to keep the engines at a steady thrust. So what it does is it allows if the airplane starts to get a little, just say it's been sat with a level power setting, and the airplane gets a little bit slow, the airplane will then ever so slightly descend, just a tiny bit, maybe up to 150 feet-ish from the level. A bit of a gentle descent just to keep the speed where it needs to be, and then the idea is that eventually that imbalance will disappear and maybe you'll start to get a bit fast, so then the airplane can climb back to the level without having to change the engine thrust, because if you change engine thrust over and over throughout the flight then it's not very fuel efficient. So that's the idea behind it. It keeps the engine steady and it allows it to wander a little bit on the altitude. But it doesn't always manage, of course. Let's say that there's a change in wind that's too strong, so it might end up descending to 150-ish feet. I can't remember the exact number, I should look it up. It might descend, and then all of a sudden it reaches it realises it's still not got enough speed, and now you're low, so it just gives up, and all of a sudden it will just pitch the aeroplane up back to the level, and it will add power as well. And that can be a bit disconcerting. If you're sitting there and you've been there for a while, and all of a sudden you can feel the aeroplane going to what feels like a sudden climb, it's quite interesting. And you do notice it, yeah, when it reaches the edge of what it can do. But that's what our cruise does. That's the whole point of it. We're arriving into Madrid. Let's go. Thanks for those follows and subscriptions. Really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying it. Chrono still running? Indeed it is. Some pilots leave it running the whole time, but I don't, so that's why. Very good. John would like a Ryanair Concorde livery. So, James says, what's new in version 1.02? So, we've talked about a few things. We've got new engine sounds in the cockpit and outside. I do really like them, and they generally seem to have got very good feedback. On landing and in the replay, we're going to check out the custom tyre rotation. So now the wheels can rotate individually on the same sort of bogey, which should make the replays look a bit more realistic. We've got chocks on the gate. I didn't show you the chocks, so maybe I'll show you that on the other side, but I did turn them off. But you might find now that it's possible to get yourself stuck if you have the chocks on, so yeah, make sure you remember to get rid of those. They're in the ICS menu. We've now got the flaps and nozzle steering on the taxi camera, which we did see. There's an animated ram air turbine, and there's hydraulic lines added to the landing gear. So yeah, hopefully there is some more and some bug fixes as well. But those are the main new minor features. DB says, this is a random question, but how do crews decide who flies which leg? So on a long haul aeroplane like this, it'll probably be down to who needs to get the landing, because they don't land very often. But on short haul, which is what I do, we would normally split the flying 50-50. So let's say you're doing 4 sectors in your day at work, then you would discuss it and you would pick 2 to fly. It's one of the most common things pilots ask when they come to work. Which ones do you want to fly? Do you have any preference about which you want to fly? All this sort of stuff. The reason is most people don't have too much of a preference, but if it's really windy somewhere, then it might be that the captain wants to fly those sectors. If there's fog somewhere, then it could be that the captain has to fly those sectors. It could be that the wind's out of limits for the FO as well. Some airlines have wind limits for the FO, some don't. It just depends. It could be that the FO's new and therefore has their own wind limitation, that sort of stuff. So these are things that would influence it, but if the weather's fine or being well, then you'll just divide it up between you. If you're doing 4 sectors, the most common system would be somebody does the first and last and somebody does the middle 2. It's unusual to do 2 and 2, you see what I mean? 2 as pilot flying, 2 as pilot monitoring. Yeah, but that's just customary. There's no rules to that. So yeah, crews just decide amongst themselves really. Lauren says, not too uncommon for the crew who took the plane off not to be the same who lands on the long haul too. So yeah, that would depend on the airline and how long the flight is, because of course some flights can have an entire new crew on board. Yeah, it's possible. But I think, talking to people who fly long haul, I think mostly if you have, because obviously they have, on long haul you'll have extra pilots, so there'll be us 2, and then there'll be somebody here, and there could even be somebody there as well. These 2 are effectively not active in operating at this point, so they'd go off and they'd go onto their rest and then they'd come back in and fly for a bit in the cruise. But I think normally, certainly in Europe it seems, the crew who took off will also be the crew at the controls for the landing, I think, but maybe not for the sector back. So thanks Blueberry King. Audio is always a tricky balance, so hopefully Hopefully we can work it out. This is a fantastic, just such a good job on this livery. I'm pretty sure it's the only one on the X-Plane forum. Drone says, how is the progress page used during flights? Are we supposed to tune all waypoints? No. You can tune whatever you want. So I, on a short flight like this to Madrid, would just put Madrid in. And then later on, when I know the runway, I'll update that to be the exact runway I'm expecting to land on. Yeah, you don't need to tune everything as you go. Important stuff on the progress page is the recommended maximum and your optimum. So we are going slightly above our optimum, which is fine because we can't cruise at 3.8. We need to cruise at an odd level. So going above it means that this optimum will rise as we burn off fuel. So it'll go 3.8, 3.85, 3.90. So now we're already at 3.90. So that's good to go straight there, as long as your recommended max isn't too low. And you're looking for GPS primary down here and making sure your estimated accuracy is below the required. So we need to have 2 nautical miles of accuracy. That means the airplane needs to know where it is within 2.0 nautical miles. And the airplane, because of GPS basically, knows it knows where it is to within 0.04 nautical miles. So we're way more accurate than we need to be. But if we lost GPS, we could carry on flying because our IRSs will be running on high accuracy as well, even if we lose the GPS. Alright, there's the last 1,000 feet to go. And James Cooper, another £10 super chat. James, you've been far too generous. Really, really appreciate it. As ever. Unbelievable. James says, got to go now. We'll catch the rest tomorrow. One question. The A320 family can't jettison fuel, so what do you do instead if you're over max landing weight, etc.? Just hold regardless of emergency? Thank you, James, for supporting the channel so much. Really, really kind. Enjoy the stream tomorrow. And what we do in the 320 family, as it can't jettison fuel, is if we are overweight in the 320 family, we can land overweight, that kind of stuff. The reason is the 320 family, the difference in maximum landing weight and maximum takeoff weight is probably in the region of 7 to maybe 10 tons, worst case. It's not a lot. So if you land overweight, all you have to do, and then we go into outcruise, all you have to do is the engineering inspection, and it depends how overweight you are and if the airplane has a hard landing. There are different inspections, so it's not great, but the point is, in a real emergency where we have to land straight away, we can do it overweight. It's okay. It's not going to actually break the airplane. It just needs an inspection in certain circumstances. On long haul aircraft, the difference between maximum landing and maximum takeoff is much bigger, so they could be significantly over, and also they carry so much fuel that they could struggle to fit into an airport. It could be that just that they can't realistically land at most places. So that's why they have that option, because they need to be able to burn off the fuel so that they can fit into these en route airports if they needed to go there. So let's say you're flying past Keflavik and you're full of fuel, and you're full of passengers, then you might not be able to land there because of just the runway length, let alone the actual structural issues with the airplane. So that's the difference that we have with short haul compared to long haul. But on short haul, because the difference is so much smaller, it rarely makes any major difference to your performance either. Adrian said, excited to see a ToLiss stream. I assume trim tank transfer has completed now. Let's have a look. Is it even going to bother? 100 fuel flow. There it is. No, it's in progress. So it's sending fuel into the back to trim out the airplane, to move that CG. It's amazing, isn't it? There's the CG 34.8. So it's moved it way back, because we took off with it at something like 20, or something more forward than that. 34.9, yeah. So it's putting the trim in the right place to make the airplane more efficient in the cruise. Not something we bother with on short haul aircraft. We are still on that thing, I'm just remembering that myself. And Adenate says, is the 320 equipped with fuel dump? No, it's not. Freddie says, very kind Freddie, thank you for your €5 super chat. Really appreciate it. Freddie says, hello, good evening. Good evening to you, Freddie. Freddie says, I've got a question. The chart for ILS Yankee 24 left at LEPA shows an NDB of Alpha 307.5. Isn't that frequency unusable for NDBs? No, I think you could do it. No, maybe not. That's a great question. You could have reached the edge of my NDB knowledge. NDBs are so rare. I haven't flown an NDB approach in years. So that's my excuse for not knowing. They were quite common when I started flying, but they have become almost redundant, because you'll either fly the VOR or more likely the RNAV, and our favourite remains the good old ILS, of course. So let's have approach ILS Yankee 24 left. .5. Oh, that's the yeah, that's interesting. So here it's just listed as 307.0. Someone with more technical knowledge in the chat is going to answer this for you. I suspect, because that's, yeah, why you can't tune that frequency manually, but yeah, it seems to just run on 307 on here, but I'm not entirely sure of the technicalities behind that. Leaf Flaverbrink, good to see you again. Leaf, thank you so much for your 300 sec super chat. Really, really appreciate it. That's very kind. Leaf says, unfortunately, I've been missing out most of your fantastic material for a while due to heavy workload. But I could not miss the amazing combo 320 sim pilot and ToLiss A340-600. Could not be better. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Leaf. Thanks so much for that very kind donation. Really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been a while since we've flown. We've been in Microsoft Flight Simulator for the last couple of streams, so it's certainly time. And the update to 340 was a great excuse to jump back in it as well. Plus, we got this Madrid Scenery. Thank you very much to Windsock Simulations for that and Aerosoft. But yeah, thanks so much for that that kind donation. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, great to see you again. I hope your workload, hope you're finding time to sort of rest and recuperate inside of that workload. I think it's very different where we are this year to obviously when we started streaming, and it's interesting to hear from everybody, and I see it on the Discord and chatting to people on the chat here as well, of course, that everyone seems to be working a lot harder and back doing things and being out, which is great. But yeah, hopefully you're still finding time to sort of relax and look after yourself. But really appreciate that, incredibly kindly, very kind donation. Thanks so much. And yeah, we'll be back in the 321 soon as well, because that's had another update. So that's something I've been messing around with as well. Still trying to push that CG back, 36.7. Thanks for the follow to James and Ken. V3UXS says, I'm not sure, but can A340 offset? Would you try, please? Oh, yeah. Did we try this last time? I don't remember. This is... Let me just clear up that NEB. So, slopping, strategic lateral offset procedure. Offset. Work in progress. So, no, you cannot. So, we almost never use the short haul. But what it does is, when you're flying your North Atlantic tracks, you don't all sit on exactly your track, as far as I'm aware. I haven't flown them, but my understanding is you would, because if you all sat on exactly the same line, because airplanes are so accurate these days, they'd probably all be straight over, passing over exactly the same bit of airspace, and eventually you could find yourself, even though they're miles ahead, because you're following the exact line, maybe some wake problems like that. So what you can do is you can offset just a mile or two. I think there is a number. I'd have to look it up because I haven't done it for so long. I've only done it once or twice, but yeah, you'd offset left or right. So that's what this page is talking about, offset. Some people would talk about using this for weather avoidance as well, because you could use lateral offsetting to get around weather when you're outside of radar control. Again, stuff I'm not particularly experienced with, so I don't want to try and convince you I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, there could be people in the chat who do know more. Yeah, it's a bit of chat about NDBs and whether they're useful. Laurie says, 1 or 2 miles right, never left in the North Atlantic. There you go. You guys know more about it than me. So you go 1 or 2 right, which would make sense if everybody did that. Yeah, so NDBs, the reason NDBs aren't so useful is they have a relatively poor range, and they're non-directional beacons. NDB, non-directional beacon. So the airplane can point towards it, but that's what it can do. You can just point at it. It doesn't actually give you radials you can follow in the same way as the VORs. It's just not as accurate. you'll also find if you try to actually fly, if we were to just put this on an NDB needle and just use the needle, they move around, and we could have 2 ADF receivers in the airplane. Most Airbuses don't have that. Maybe long haulers do. But you have 2 NDB needles, and they'll be pointing in different directions. They'll be over 5 degrees out, which is outside of the tolerance anyway for flying an NDB approach. They're just not great. They're totally usable, especially in general aviation when things happen a little bit slower. But they're prone to a lot of errors as well, so coastal error and turning errors and all sorts. So they're just not. They're not really part of the future. They're definitely a thing of the past. Hopefully no one here designed NDBs thinks I'm criticising them. Thanks Jason for the follow, and Amber for the subscription. Oh yeah, I've got the Gliding Kiwi Rolls-Royce logo, one of the developers. I don't mind it, it works. There's probably a way to change it. In fact, I'm pretty sure there is. I'm sure I've read something about it. So I quite like that. Love Kiwis. Got some good contrails, 4 contrail action, don't see that very often these days. I'm not talking to anyone again. I knew I'd do that. I've gone to the outside view. Luckily, I wasn't moving the mouse around on the screen. Right. DG27, Happy New Year to you. Thank you for coming along. It's been a while, and I hope you had a great Christmas. Great to have you here. Birdman says, Happy New Year. What's your rule of thumb on activating the approach phase in the perf, i.e. how many track miles? So, it's a great question. The Airbus will do it automatically around about typically 15, 20 miles, something like that. 15 to 20 miles, track miles left, that's miles to go. Maybe a bit later sometimes. That works absolutely fine if you're doing a fully managed descent, fully managed approach, and there's no interfering from air traffic control. But if air traffic control put you on radar vectors, that doesn't work so well. So we tend to activate it ourselves. Certainly after 10,000 feet in the descent, probably a similar sort of track miles to go, 15 to 20 track miles, maybe a little bit earlier, and then we can select the speed if we don't want it to slow down that much, depending if you're high or low. So any time after 10,000 feet is relatively realistic, and certainly by about 15 miles. Adam Cooper, no, BA did not have 340-600s as far as I'm aware. Could be proved wrong on that though. Pads those back. Let's see. No ETA just yet, Ken, on the actual release of this update. I don't think it's too far away though. Adrian says, do you know why the CG would result in a down 0.9 trim in cruise? Shouldn't it be 0 degrees, or does it contribute to lift? Yeah, that's going to be more of a complex calculation than we would ever know. Airbus will know exactly what they're doing with it. Now, how realistic it is, I don't know. But yeah, it's down, so that means it's a bit nose down. But that could be more efficient. The 0 could just be, you know, is that 0 to the... Is that 0 degrees relative to what? Relative to the nose of the airplane? Relative to the airflow? So perhaps, yeah, it's hard to tell. I see your logic, but yeah, we don't really know what they're aligning it to, I suppose. There we go, we got 5 tons almost in that trim tank at the back. Excellent. That's all works. Happy New Year, Adam Cooper. Indeed, thanks for coming along. Simon C enjoys the DC6 and classic radio navigation. Excellent. Yeah, that's a good bit of fun. Joanne says, have you got the stream overlay customized for the channel? Yes, I do. Yeah, I made it into the pink and blue. RNEMT is not enjoying the game. Oh, there you go. It's not for everyone. Oh, I think I'm way behind again. I've not tried the A320 external MCDU. I think I've something wrong with my chat here. Richard on the Twitch says, sailing is all GPS these days, but we still appreciate having lighthouses. There you go. And John, I'm glad you enjoyed the sounds. Dave says, I don't think BA ever had 330s or 340s. Yeah, I didn't think so either. Padso says, if BA were to ever operate the 340 for packs or cargo use, then I think BA would keep them even until 2040. Lufthansa used 340 very well, and I'm hoping to get a flight with 340. Oh, there you go, Lufthansa have got the 340s. Excellent. Harry says, best thing you've seen through a cockpit window? Good question. Probably one of my most memorable things. I mean, in terms of views, there's just endless good views. Going over the Alps is always a joy. They're just, especially when you get clear weather. Going over foggy areas can sometimes be quite a unique experience. You get some amazing views of sunrise and sunset when there's mist and fog around. I've seen the Northern Lights, and I've seen a meteorite, and that's probably the most memorable one because the whole sky lit up bright, as bright as you can see it here, just for a second. And you can bet that makes you jump when you're sitting on the flight deck for a few hours in the dark. Yeah, and it left a huge sort of green plasma-y style trail at the back of it. Yeah, that was quite a strange night. And it says maybe the wing is pitched upwards. Yeah, relative to the fuselage. Exactly, yeah, it's hard to tell. Evening, Michael John, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Your favourite Airbus aircraft as well. There you go, 340 proving very popular. Agent says, thanks, I also heard trim units aren't actual angular degrees, but something Airbus-y. I trust they know what they're doing. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, talking about the trim and why it goes to nose down in the cruise. But yeah, it's very hard for us to know what that actually means. Especially given our, maybe it depends on our pitch attitude and all this. Bitch Sanger says, I hope it wasn't too close. I have no idea how close it was. I'm assuming it was many, many thousands of miles away, but it's maybe not. I don't know when they typically burn up in the atmosphere, but it was very bright. Callum says aliens, yeah. Andy says, how are you getting on with the 747-200? I took it across the Atlantic on Saturday using only INS and it was forwards. Andy, I thought I managed to load up the INS on the 747. So I can turn it on and I can just about use the basic functions of the autopilot and I can start it up from cold and dark. So that's all great. In terms of the INS, I don't think I've managed. So I may do sort of an impromptu Twitch stream where I will be experimenting with that. I'll just try and run a sector. Yeah. I may. We shall see. Or I certainly might need your help, Andy. The only Ace Maker says, when do you use Cat 1, 2, 3 minimums? Cat 1 will be normal for an ILS, and if the weather needs it, you'll do a Cat 2 or Cat 3. The reason is ILSs are always standardised to work to Cat 1, but if you want to use them to the more precise minima of Cat 2 and Cat 3, then the airport needs to put special protections in place, low visibility procedures. So you can't use those minimums unless the airport's done that, and they won't do that unless it's foggy, because of course it means less aircraft can land, vehicles have to stay away from the runway and the ILS transmitters, so yeah. So what seems to have happened is I've lost YouTube from the multi-stream chat. I do not know why. And he says, no problem, give me a shout. I've spent most of the holidays pre-90 aircraft using just INS. Andy is the INS master. Excellent. Yeah, I will do. The only ace maker says, so normally I'll take Cat 1 minimums. Exactly. Normally just Cat 1 minimums. Burnett says, Meteor, right, burn up. Any lightning equivalents? Oh, I've seen lightning. I mean, an endlessly beautiful thing to see out the window is an isolated thunderstorm at night. So if you're looking out here and you just see one and it's flashing away and there's relatively clear sky around it, and you know you're not going near it, then they can be really stunning. I've seen something I hadn't seen until recently, but I've seen it a few times recently, which has surprised me, is thunderstorms with lightning coming out of the top. So the vast majority of lightning occurs inside the cloud, so it's a static difference between the tops and bottoms of the cloud. So most of the lightning goes between that, but every now and then you get forked lightning that goes down to the ground, and it appears you get lightning that comes out the top as well, which I had not seen much of, but recently I've seen it a few times, which definitely makes you think twice about going over a thunderstorm. You should never really go over a thunderstorm unless you know you've got a lot of clearance for this, basically for this reason. Yeah, so it's always spectacular. Sadly, often they're in the way, or you're in IMC conditions, instrument conditions, so you can't really see that clearly. But when they're just isolated and out the way, they can be really stunning. Cool sprites, says Jay. There you go. Always learn something new. And Richard V as well. But yeah, I think the Albert Lightning is called a Sprite. Thanks very much. Sprite Lightning, pretty rare. Yeah, so it's funny, Adrian. I'm glad you said it's rare because I had never seen it before. But you know, we don't spend a lot of time flying around thunderstorms and lightning. It's sort of a typical summer thing in Europe. But I've noticed it a couple of times. St Elmo's Fire is another one. St Elmo's Fire, very pretty. It's static build up on the aircraft, so you get what look like lightning, but they're not outside. They are actually on the windscreen, and they tend to come out of the side pillar here, and they sort of zap across just for a second, flash sort of a deep purple colour. St Elmo's Fire. I think it's a phenomenon they used to get on ships as well. Very, very pretty. Usually a sign you are near a thunderstorm, or certainly some sort of weather that's caused some static build-up. Sprite and soda drinks, says Alex. Yeah, very good one. One of my favourites, Sprite. Do enjoy it. George Lumpkin, good evening. Wrong in my note, but I hooked up a receipt printer with the new fly-by-wire MCDU remote server. It will actually print messages and I can tear them off. Ridiculous but fun. Now that's a good idea, because when they said, I saw that fly-by-wire was going to let you print things actually around, but I put it on a receipt printer is a really good idea. That is fun. That's very good. We'll have to try out this experimental version. A few things we need to do then. Holding that says, I've always liked the 340. Yeah, me too. Marco says, if you could fly any aircraft except the 320, what would it be? Well, the 340 would be on there. If you're talking about airliners, 757 would be on there. Those are two that I would have liked. Kai says, I saw it on EasyJet inside the cockpit, looked amazing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. St Elmo's Fire. It's rare. I'd say once or twice a year if you're lucky to see that. Leo says, have you seen CL 650 that's released soon? I have seen it. Looks very good. Adrian says, St Elmo's Fire could also mean you're travelling through volcano ash, I believe. Slightly worrying in that case. Yeah, I don't know how likely that is. But yeah, I suppose. I know obviously that Speedbird aircraft that had the volcano ash incident with the 4 engines, that was they had a glow on the aircraft, so yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Luckily, it's rare in Europe to be too near to volcanoes. The Aerosoft says, wouldn't it be a bit sketchy if you saw some Airbus flight bearing an image of... Well, no, I don't think so. It's just a phenomenon of flying aircraft through skies. Sometimes you're closer to static weather and thunderstorms than other times, and it could build up. You won't get it in the cruise typically. It would be... Mostly I see it in like the 10 to 20,000 feet range. And that's usually where the weather obviously is. It's just sort of flying through, and you're maybe getting snow or ice pellets building up or scratching on the airplane, or maybe just that you're too near the weather. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. You've seen it on the volcano ash. Yeah. That Serious Pilot, good to see you. That Serious Pilot says, sorry I'm late. I suppose you mentioned the 340 that Iberia used between Madrid and Heathrow. Managed to fly on it once. The 350 now. Yeah, I hadn't mentioned it actually, but that's a good point. This route would have been flown by 340 then. But the Iberia one, but we've gone with this old British Airways livery. Couldn't assist it. Maybe we'll take the Iberia livery, because there is a great Iberia livery for the 340-600. We could take that from Madrid to somewhere else in Spain. So I've got a few scenery to show you around Spain. I like this. Looks like a boat at the front. Very much. Quite nose high in the cruise. I'm a little surprised. I suppose it's so long that the nose will always look high if there's any sort of deck angle. It's only 2.5 degrees, which is similar to the 320. Plane Guy says, what's your opinion on VATSIM? I think it's excellent. Yeah, it really adds to the immersion. Provides like unexpected circumstances. Checkpoint thinks it will close the VATSIM. I wonder if that makes any difference. Yeah, I wonder. And there's an Airbus flight is the same as the electric globes you can buy that will create small lightning when you touch it. Yeah, good point. It's exactly the same colour. Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. That's exactly the shade of purple. Yeah. Lightning obviously being much more bright, much more blue. Bye Storm. I have said it a couple of times, so I don't want to bore everyone who's already heard it, but this latest update, not released yet, includes a new landing gear particle model. It's got custom tyre rotation, so the individual wheels on the same bogie can now rotate at different speeds. Chocks on the gates, but more excitingly, we get flaps and the nose wheel steering are now shown on the taxi camera, so the taxi camera on the PFD. You can see the nose wheel turn and you can see the flaps deploy. You've also got the ram air turbine, you've got hydraulic lines to the gear, and they've reworked the sound. And the sounds, everyone likes the sounds a lot more, so that's definitely an improvement. And I totally agree, I really like the sounds. I mean, I didn't mind them before, as I said already, but I think they're much improved. There are a lot of bug fixes as well. That Serious Pilot says, I get static on my Cirrus, it interferes with the VFR comms. Yeah, so if you are missing static wicks, so airliners... So general aviation airplanes have them as well, and they're statically connected, so the ailerons and are connected to the wing and so on, so that the airplane is all one sort of static unit. Huge detail on these is, if you look, these little lines, these are static wicks. So these disperse, maybe it's better on this view actually, yeah, you can see them here. These disperse the static electricity back into the air. That's why airplanes have them. Because obviously flying through the air, you've got air rushing and therefore rubbing over a metal airplane, and eventually it builds up a charge. And these help disperse that. If you're missing some of these, you can miss some of them in the MEL, the minimum equipment list. So we are allowed to fly without them, let's say they've fallen off somewhere. Very rare. I don't think I've ever seen one missing. They're remarkably well attached. But if one is missing, depending on where it is, you can still fly. But it does warn that you might find you have higher levels of interference on the radio. So that would obviously be exacerbated in a staticky sort of area, especially if you've got weather nearby. So I don't know that Cirrus Pilot, but maybe part of your Cirrus needs a static wick added, or or maybe something's not statically connected quite right. I don't know, but certainly I know there is a warning in our manuals about it. Booty2, thank you so much for the £20 donation. Really, really kind. Appreciate it a lot. Very generous. I do apologise, I realise now I've just swapped over. Yeah, Booty2, thanks so much for the super chat. Very kind. Booty2 says, love the stream. Old school 320s in pilot. Yeah, delighted that you are getting some proper flying hours in London. Yeah, no, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Very kind, Booty2. And yeah, it's actually, funny enough, it's Booty's message in the Discord. I think I saw maybe in the group flights, I saw you say that you missed the old holiday routes, and I thought, yeah, me too. And also wanted to try out this update, and then we had the scenery, all came together. Plus this livery. I was really excited for this stream, actually. This was all things I wanted to do. So anyway, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you. The Ruby Red 787 pilot over on Twitch. Good to see you. We are getting along just fine. How about you, Ruby Red 787 pilot? I hope you're doing very well these days. Probably a bit busier. Looks like my chat's working again in the Streamlabs, which is good news. Lauren B25 says, will the gear rotation thing affect the landing rate calculator and get it to work more properly? I doubt it. We shall see. I doubt it has much impact on that. Because we get the same ailerons uplift. I think there's now a adjusted pitch correction, so when those ailerons do pop up on landing, I think there's a pitch correction that's applied that wasn't there before. Because ToLiss have been working hard on this airplane. They've done some nice add-ons and changes to it, so that could help. We shall see. Theo says, what's the burn in the cruise? Well, there you go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.2 tons an hour, 10 tons an hour. Yeah, it's a lot. Compared that to 2 tons an hour on a no, yeah, I was going to say it doesn't normally sit there. Yeah, 9 to 10 tons an hour, only 2 tons of the 320, especially in NEO. Beginner Simmer says, good evening, thanks for all the great tutorials, you're talking so much. One question if I may, what's been your most challenging landing? Thanks very much, Beginner Simmer, glad to have been helping you out. Most challenging landing? It'll probably be I want to be clear, and I like the way you said challenging, so thanks for that, because challenging is the right way to put it. There's things that just take more effort, but that doesn't mean that they're not possible or less safe. So the usual things that make an approach or landing challenging would be the wind, and I'd say wind is probably the top of the list. It's not to say it's not safe, because we have our go-around procedures, we train for it, we practice it regularly, especially on short haul, but even so. But you know, there's more chance of a go-around, more chance of needing to do it again, and more you have to do. But second to that would be fog and low visibility, and in line with that would be snow and runway contamination. These are all things that can make a landing take more work, more thought. But yeah, landing in 40 plus knots is in the territory of taking more thought, definitely. Ruby Red 787 pilot's doing much better. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Northern Lights says, Happy New Year. Is there a way to see which flight controller the airplane is currently in? Absolutely. If you go onto YouTube, Northern Lights, and you search 320 Sim Pilot, what is the Airbus? I've got 3 videos that talk about exactly that. Turtle Kayak also is explaining quite nicely there. Yeah, we're in normal law, and I can tell because I've got the little green equal sign. If I was in alternate law, they would be amber crosses, and if I was in direct law, it would say use man pitch trim along the top. That's the simplest way, but I've got videos on YouTube that explain exactly what they are. I think it's a playlist, actually. I'm quite pleased with those ones. Some of my more proud videos. Joanne, indeed, the overlay is customised. John says, will that make it easier to batter? I've had some of my hardest ever landing in this bird, if you don't count the Concorde. Yeah, landing this airplane is interesting. You've got to flare at the right point, and it just touches down a lot quicker, but don't listen to the landing rates the sims are giving you. If it looks right, then it probably is okay. If you flared and got the nose up at the right point, I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, the landing rate you see on the screen will probably be higher than we would normally expect. The Ruby Red pilot says, Microsoft Flight Simulator is really playing out for me recently. Take off with 60 FPS, and then when we arrive, performance degradation to 30 to 20. I believe lots of people are having the issue, mainly to do the 6.3 install. Ooh, that's not good. I hope I don't run into that one. I haven't seen that yet, the Ruby Red pilot. Yeah, that's not much fun at all. Richard Dudley says the weather is causing hell in Microsoft Flight Simulator right now, including FPS. It's right, I see. So weather could be an issue. You're welcome, Beginner Simmer. That Serious Pilot says, I suppose this A340 is another aircraft I'm going to have to get. The latest fly-by-wire is amazing. The ToLiss still wins for its technical specs. Yeah, fly-by-wire. I need to try that experimental one. It's incredible. Does it hold yet? That is the one. Anders says, what is your view on the new green fuel type suggested as the future of flying, as methane is hygroscopic? Would that not be a much bigger risk than today with water in the fuel? I'm afraid, Anders, I wish I could comment more on that. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I will say water in the fuel in general aviation is a big thing. In airliners, we don't drain the fuel tanks. They do get drained by the engineers, but we uplift fuel and we don't drain the water out regularly. So you can fly in a short-haul Airbus around for 2 days without any engineers touching it. So it can be refueled several times and left overnight in that time. So they have ways of dealing with the water. Johnny says, does ECAM memo show blue if you take off with flap 1, even if you set flaps 2 on the MCDU? This is 321. Did it today with ToLiss, so curious how this is in real life. That's a good question. I don't know. So it will depend on the fit of the ECAM. The reason that... Now, I don't know if that's true in the real aircraft, because we're not allowed to experiment like that, so I wouldn't ever set it and then try. But I would... Depending on the fit of the ECAM, I think some of the newer ECAMs probably would pick that up, but I don't know for sure. Someone will have to tell you. The reason that would be the case is that the takeoff memo... Does it say? I'll have to try that out, Johnny. Yeah, in the sim, obviously. But the takeoff config button, I'm not sure whether it checks the flap setting. I don't think it does. I think it's just checking you have a takeoff flap out, 1, 2 or 3, like most aircraft. But the memo should, it does say which flaps you should have. Does it? No, does it not? No, it just says takeoff flaps. On the 321, I think. So that's why we look in here to compare it, because we have obviously written in blue in here, so you compare the actual up here to the one in here, because I don't think you can compare it to this one. The landing is slightly different, but yeah, interesting. God, it's amazing when I'm away from the aircraft what we have to think about. Rilcius, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Abigail says, so this might be a strange question, but to what degree do pilots need some form of bedside manner, as it would be called in medicine, to keep passengers calm? So Abigail's talking about, yeah, obviously in medicine, I don't know how many of you know that term, but bedside manner is something a doctor has to deal with you, i.e. bedside when you're sick in a hospital bed, someone who can deal with you, because it's no good the doctor knowing how to fix you if they can't get that, talk to you in a sensible way and also explain it to you in a sensible way that you can understand and agree or disagree with. But yeah, so pilots obviously need to be careful with what's said to passengers and keep everybody calm and informed and balance too much detail with telling the truth. Obviously you don't want to lie, but you also don't want to sit there talking about every detail, because most people won't understand jargon. There's no point doing PAs where we talk about the EPR gauge isn't working. No one's going to know what that means. So yeah, you do have to you learn how to adapt to that, and obviously captains will have learnt that more because they would have seen more strange situations whilst they were an FO. So by the time they're a captain, they'd have had the experience to make these PAs. Typically the captain will make PAs where anything like that's required. Obviously I'm not talking about serious safety issues here. I'm talking about the technical things that happen day to day that cause delays and so on. Because if you have a delay because of a very minor technical thing or just something that needs resetting, you don't want to tell the passengers something that could scare them when obviously it's totally fine. So it's yeah, you're absolutely right. You do have to you develop a way of talking about these things. Certainly. Good question. You're welcome, Northern Lights. I hope this video's helped you out. Lucha2 says, I suspect the real money in aviation is currently in air freight. Yeah, air freight's done much better throughout COVID. A friend flies for a European-based worldwide cargo company. Flies 747 around the world non-stop. Yeah, they'll be doing very well. Microsoft Flight Simulator weather is fixed apparently. Excellent. When I haven't seen the Heathrow Real Ops event, no problem. Sorry, no, I haven't looked at the VATSIM events for a while. Hayden says, when I was in a 737 last Monday, there was sudden turbulence that spilt my coffee everywhere. Does turbulence show up on weather radar? I guess not. No, unless it's associated with thunderstorms. So we can see it with thunderstorms, but you could sit here in the cruise like this and suddenly hit turbulence. It's entirely possible and not know about it. If it's associated with a thunderstorm or something, then yeah, we can put the seatbelt signs on in advance and make sure we get around the weather, but you still might get some bumps off it. But sometimes clear air turbulence, no. If it's in clear air, you won't see it coming. Hence why most airlines would encourage you to keep your seatbelt on even when the seatbelt signs are switched off, because obviously we can't actually see all the turbulence out there, just the stuff associated with weather. Mr. Espresso, good to see you. I hope you're doing very well. Mr. Espresso says, I remember an accident with frozen fuel. Yeah, there was I assume you're talking about that 777. Yeah. Chris D says, you'd get a master warning to talk about the whether pressing takeoff config and the flap setting in the takeoff per page are different to the physical setting. Chris D says you'd get a master warning. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Definitely something I need to look into. I think they've added a fuel temperature simulation, talking about frozen fuel, into the 321, and we do have it here. There you go, minus 26 in the smaller outer tanks, a bit warmer on the inner ones. It would also depend how it could be that the fuel is being used in the heat oil exchanger, and therefore it just depends where that hotter fuel will get fed into. In a 320 series, it goes from the outer into the outer tanks, and the 321 it just goes back to the main tanks. But yeah, I'm not sure where it goes on these aeroplanes. It says, hello there, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. So what's new with the 340? Are you descending? Your terrain is on. We're not descending yet. Terrain is indeed on. And I will remind me later, and I'll point out the new things on the ground. How about that? Because I've said it a few times in the cruise here. But good to see you. Thanks for going along. Remind me, maybe after landing. Johnny says, with the ToLiss, it didn't. I put flap 2 to the MCDU and accidentally almost took off flap 1. Takeoff memo was all green, even though there's a different in the MCDU and flap 1. Yeah, I'll be interested about that. Tom Corwin says, ladies and gentlemen, there's absolutely nothing to panic about. Exactly, yeah. And there's no need to panic, and there's no need to look out of the windows. Paddy, thanks so much for your €20 super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Very kind, Paddy. Paddy's done a lot of fantastic work on liveries for the community now. I do say the channel, but he's not only designed some excellent channel liveries, but also just so many great ones that are out on flightsim.to in particular. But yeah, Paddy says, Happy New Year. As ever, your stream is a perfect backdrop for my aircraft painting. This time, a physical model of a Harrier. Excellent. Yeah, physical models are very therapeutic. Really enjoy making those. I hope you're enjoying it, and glad you're enjoying the stream. Thanks so much, Paddy. Really appreciate the super chat. Very kind, very generous of you. And again, thanks again for all the work and effort you put into the community. We've had endless great liveries, so thank you. Really appreciate it. Oh, that grid's back. Thanks for the follow to T and Robert and Danny. Yeah, Paddy's on so many. And usually this is not a Paddy livery. Ground Speed Mini, I've got a video. Jonathan, if you look on YouTube, if you put in 320 Sim Pilot Ground Speed Mini or GS Mini, it should appear. Yeah, I have a whole video on it, which I filmed last year. Comrade, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Turtle says, yeah, I don't know that one, Turtle. And Hayden there, Robin, thanks so much for £3.40 super chat. Hayden's always got the accurate super chats to the aircraft. Thanks so much, Hayden. I really appreciate it. And he says, how's the Concorde prep going? Thanks for everything. So Concorde prep is slow. I'm finding it uniquely difficult to learn. I haven't dedicated as much time to it as I wanted. I've been working, which has been great, but also I'm learning the INS. So once I get the INS going, then I will sort out the systems. I can turn on and start up and taxi out Concorde. I want to get the INS sorted, which I'm doing in the 747 as well. and then we can move from there to getting them into the air. I know we are incredibly late. Thanks so much for the super chat, I really appreciate it. Winter says, from 1 to 10, how nervous were you on your first ever flight, and how happy were you on your first ever landing? From 1 to 10, how nervous? Not nervous, excited, incredibly excited. First time I flew an airliner. So I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10. Oh yeah, 10 for excited, not nervous. There must have been nerves in there, but they were definitely drowned out. And I also remember, and I think most airline pilots will agree with this, your first sector in an airliner will go so quickly, it's hard to keep up because everything happens so much faster than you're used to. Because in training, you're learning all the time, things have to happen slower. But you know, day to day, things happen much faster, and you get used to it. But that first sector, yeah, you just take off, and suddenly you're landing. I remember that. I also remember on the landing, I remember getting a sense of how fast the airplane was, which was strange because I'd already done base training, so I hadn't flown the airplane. But I remember on the first landing I ever did, the overwhelming feeling I had was of the ground rushing up to meet me really fast, and not just vertically, you know, not that we were descending fast, but it just felt like everything was moving so quickly. So obviously I wasn't quite tuned for fast aircraft just yet. And I say fast aircraft, obviously in a loose sense of the word. Secondary flight plan, you might have your diversion if you're going long haul, especially routes to alternates if you needed them. And in this case, we might set up a different arrival. Let's say there was an option of 2 different runways for landing, we could set that up. And we will be setting that up fairly shortly, actually. Anders says, funny story, was on a flight to Newark from Copenhagen, and we boarded, and then nothing, and then the captain came on and said, small problem, will be fixed shortly. 2 minutes later, they removed the left engine. Excellent. Yeah, well, there you go. Just a small problem. Just a small problem. Robert, thanks for following. Oh, and Jotty, thanks for following. Aidan says, the worst turbulence I've experienced, the pilots reduce speed and change flight. Yeah, reducing speed helps, puts the airplane in a better place to deal with it, and then you'll find out from air traffic if there's any smooth levels around, certainly. And there you go, Aidan says, an approach to a different runway is an example of secondary. Or a field return. Yeah, that's on takeoff we usually have a return in the secondary, a return plan if we need it. Thanks again to Paddy for your very kind donation. Does magnetic north ref work? Let's find out. Yes, it does. True. Magnetic. There it is. Excellent work as ever by the ToLiss team. Lazlo says, I don't really know why there's no smoking light on the aircraft because it's always on. Yeah. Some airplanes now, it's always on and they have gadget lights up there. Yeah. But these days, you know, most airlines allow gadgets to be used in lots of phases of flight. They're just not allowed in low vis. Thanks, TCF4. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for following. Everything's going great. Good to see you here. OTEC, we'll talk about the update again on the ground. I've said it a few times on the stream just so I don't... All viewers have been here the whole time. I don't want to say it for the 10th time. Lauren V says, we'll just say Concorde is 50k, 747 long haul is 60k. Yeah, there we go. That could be how we end up. So they're starting training on the Concorde tomorrow. It's awesome. Yeah, it is an amazing add-on. And you can tell the passion the developer has for that aircraft as well. And it says, is it too late to become a commercial pilot at 38? No. But you've got to think carefully about where you want your career to go and so on. But I've seen people turn to flying later on in life. Also, obviously, depends on the rules in your country. But I'm pretty sure there's no countries out there that don't let you fly at the age of 38 or shortly after. Matt Black says, over the last few weeks I've gotten over the fear and got myself on Tabatsin network with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 after watching your videos and getting excited about flying again. Thank you. You're very welcome, Matt, and thanks for sharing that. Glad you've been enjoying it and glad you've been out on Batsim. Yeah, it's good fun. And I was very nervous first time I used Batsim. I think the video's on YouTube. I did an edited video. I didn't stream at the time. Mark says, was it true with Concorde that if halfway across the Atlantic, if it lost an engine, you couldn't make landfall either way? That sounds unlikely. That sounds very unlikely. But it might mean it might be true. It might be that you had to divert certainly. Maybe they'd have to divert into Iceland or something if that happened, because it couldn't stay supersonic or something. I don't know. Andy will probably know. That Serious Pilot says, in the US, pilots are always asking how's the chopper altitude. I don't really hear it in Europe. Good point. Yeah, well observed, Serious Pilot. Yeah, American pilots are famous for that. We don't tend to ask in Europe. We tend to just get told. Controllers will tell us if there is a problem with the turbulence, nearly always. So we don't tend to have to do any asking. Yeah. Dan the Sasquatch asking about radar interference. No, I've not seen that. No, not that I'm aware of anyway. Doesn't mean it's not true. I have not observed it myself. FTC says, flew on Lufthansa 340 a couple of years ago. One of the quietest planes I've ever been on. Yeah, it is. I agree. I flew on a 340-300 and it was very quiet. Was it 200 or 300? But it was very quiet. Lauren B says, do we try it the other way round? Try for speed record eastbound in the 747, then head west in Concorde in half the time. Yeah, could be a way to do it. Cecil Kayak says, super cool seeing the stream where 326 pilot came to K-Boss. I now live close to K-Boss departure part. Lots of looking out my window, not much working these days. Very good. Excellent. Mr. Espresso says, how strict are your medical checks? Do they take long? Probably an hour. It depends though, it depends on the doctor. They're pretty strict. And every few years they'll check things like your heart as well, and your hearing and stuff like that. But routinely they check all the normal bits. Yeah. Every year. Every year. Since back, had an in-flight meal that was delicious. Excellent. I don't play real Flight Simulator. No. No. Gaming. Not gaming. Right. Short break time, guys. Then we'll be back to set up for the arrival. And let's find a view that doesn't include the grid. And then we'll be back to set up the arrival into Madrid. See you very shortly. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Let me just adjust the audio for you. Hopefully that's better again. Right. It's the... Oh dear. Cloudbot was supposed to be working. Let me just try and wake it up. I mean, when you're streaming, there's just so many software, so much software running. It's amazing it works at all, to be honest. I opened up about 7 or 8 programs. So let's hope it works now. Right, just jumping back into the chats. And he says, I get back from dinner and the boss immediately goes to break. Something I said. No, Andy, don't worry. Dinner was good. The song, Kai, I did say this on the last stream, or the last time I used it, and I've totally forgotten. But indeed, it has been a while since we had it. Remind me next time. I've not tried the dual cockpit with that sim, no. Glad you like the music though. Turtle Kayak says, this music gives me early pandemic nostalgia / flashbacks. Yeah. You know, it's funny. The other day, I don't know why, I ended up... What was I doing? I can't remember now. But anyway, I ended up clicking on a video, or having to look at part of a video, one of my old videos in the 321 ToLiss. I think one of my first ones, and it was really, really... it was a real flashback for me as well. It was using my old microphone and obviously using my old computer, my laptop at the time, and I used to sit at a completely different setup to what you would have seen in my videos. I never made any videos in my original setup where I started the channel, but that was using a laptop plugged into an external monitor, and that was plugged into a USB hub. And then at one point I had 3 screens. I had the laptop screen and 2 external monitors, just small, sort of cheap ones. But that's what I was doing for a while. Yeah, and now I've got this desk and the desktop computer. It's all changed a lot. Kai, in terms of asthma, you'd need to speak to your civil aviation authority. Yeah, they're the ones that would be able to tell you. Paul Prawns, good to see you. Paul Prawns says, I'm improving at cooking a roast and flying along. Not sure what the real world application would be. I'm sure someone would appreciate a roast on the flight deck. Dr. Bronconer says, is it true that all pilots are flat earthers? Well, I doubt it. But there is a... I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've heard something like that. I think some people refer to short-haul pilots as flat earthers. The idea they won't go any further than, you know, the nearby area. Otherwise they'll fall off the edge. I think that's a thing I've heard. Right, let us check out VATSIM. What's going on? Looks like there's no VATSIM for the rest of this flight. It's yeah, pretty quiet out there. So let's set up our arrival. First we need the weather. Right, we're not going to Lipa, we're going to LEMD. Thank you, Madrid. What is the weather? So QNH is 1024. Pretty high, 11 degrees, very nice. Wind is 13002. Aha! I was hoping this would happen. So, light easterly wind. That is looking like a southerly landing onto the runway 18. Now, I reckon Madrid would probably prefer the 32s, but there's something unique about coming in onto the 18s, which we'll look at. Makes quite an interesting arrival. So, we're coming in via non-2. So, let's press the right thing, please. Arrival, here we go. Right, non-2. So, which non-2 arrival takes us to the south runways? Sorry, to the north runways, or south facing. So here we go, non-2. This is the RNAV arrival. Yeah, for runway 18 left and right. So this is definitely a good one. Non-2 to Alpha via Orbis and then to Rilco. And you'll notice here, max 220 knots, 11,000 feet. 11,000 feet at the initial approach fix. 11,000 feet, but if you look at this ring is 25 miles from the airport reference point. 25 miles. So what's that? 30 miles out? So 30 miles to the runway, and you have to be above 11,000 feet. How does that sound? Let's go to the approach. Runway 18. Let's use 18 left. Let's Zulu 18 left initial approach, which takes us from Rilco. And here you go. We go from Rilco at 11,000 feet. Then we got 5 miles to get to 10,000 feet. And then another 3 miles to get to 9,000 feet. So if we need to lose 1,000 feet, and on 3-degree slopes to lose 1,000 feet, it will take us 3 miles. So that is, we have to start the descent exactly right, and we have to do 3 degrees. And this is a problem, a recurring problem. Look at that. We've got to do another 3 miles. We've got to lose another 1,000 feet. So you can't hang around here. We need to have the speed under control, because we're also going to have to descend at 3 degrees. So it's going to be very interesting, and I'm curious to try it out in a heavy aircraft, because there is a lot of terrain around Madrid. So to land it on these southerly facing runways, it's pretty steep. Yeah, Kai's got it. Yeah, absolutely. It is really, really steep. Phil Norbert, good to see you. Glad you made it to the stream as well. Thanks for coming along. Wojtek says that's very old. Well, good to see you, Wojtek. And yeah, so Stephen says they're landing on 3-2 left and 3-2 right on flight radar. Yeah, we'll cheat. We're going to cheat here. But yeah, they would prefer. I normally Madrid uses 3-2 left and right. Just for the sake of clarity, I'm not a flat earther. Just in case anybody's wondering. But there we go. Right. So that brings us in 8,000 feet, MD 610, and backs it, points you straight onto the ILS. So, energy is going to be the problem here. Let's find the ILS chart. So that was the initial approach. And then we want the... We don't seem to have a 18 left final approach. There it is. Good. As soon as I said it, it proved me wrong. Perfect. So there's backs it, and then in we go. So 6,000 feet, intercept to 12.2 miles at 6,000 feet, and then there's a 3-degree slope all the way down to the runway. Runway elevation is very high, almost 2,000 feet. Hence the 6,000 feet platform altitude at 12 miles. So that makes sense. 10,000 feet MSAs to the north, hence that 11,000 feet restriction on the approach. So let's put that into the box, as it were. So what I'm going to do is, in the flight plan, I'm going to change it around. So what I can do is, I've got the arrival I'm expecting, so I'm going to just copy the active into the secondary. So that's onto 3-2 left. And now in the primary, I'm going to change it to my new plan, which is ILS 18 left Zulu. Via the non-2 Alpha. Via Rilco. And insert. And wants destination data, which we can do shortly. But let's just check that flight plan's worked. Right. We got the screen. Okay. Scrolling through. Not to Orbis, Rilco. Here we go, down the ILS, and I should have pressed constraint because then I can check. And there we go. Look, it's got flight level 90, flight level 80, flight level 70, but it won't be a flight level because, of course, the transition level will be higher than that. Now it's a high QNH. The transition altitude is 13,000 feet, so I'm going to imagine flight level 140 to be our transition level. That's just a guess. Aegis would actually tell you. Swift, thanks for subscribing. Stephen is 10 minutes ahead, planning 3-2 left, so we'll probably bump into each other. Now we'll be alright because, of course, I'm going to land on this runway and you're going to make an approach onto this runway. It's only if we both go around we'll have problems. Yeah, that would cause us issues. But there we go. So the flight plan looks good. The restrictions are in. You can see here an amber star asterisk. So this is the airplane saying, I'm going to try, and this is the decel point. And it's saying you're not going to make the deceleration. You'll be too fast at backsit. Because at backsit we are supposed to be 200 knots and we're going to be 215. So I can see even from the plan it's not going to make it. And it's quite likely the airplane would have a... In real life I wouldn't be surprised if it said too steep path or something like that somewhere in this flight plan. It seems to be happy, but it's... Well, I say it's happy. It's not entirely happy about the speed. But otherwise it thinks it can do it. It thinks it will make the approach. but we are going to need to be right on top of it to make this happen. So that's the flight plan page, Radnar page, India Mike Lima 111.5, 3 degrees slope, course 180, that's all correct, that's all we need, everything else can be auto-tuned. Progress page, L, E, M, D, and then we're going for the 18 left. In it goes. Performance time, QNH is 1024. Temperature on the ground was 11, pretty chilly. Oh, we've reached top of the descent. Magnetic wind 130 at 2. Oh. MDA for this one is we are. Oh, now this could be a Cat D aeroplane 2162. But I don't know that for sure. That's to do with the approach speeds that it's certified for. Flat full. Yeah, so a flat full landing at a speed of 150 knots is pretty fast. So I think this could be a Cat D aeroplane. Gear and altitude 5,000 feet. Right, before we go any further with that, let's start off with, we reckon 140 is the transition. So let's go to 140 and pull. Thrust idle open descent. Back to arc. And we're obviously sitting high now. Fuel prediction, we got loads of fuel because we've tankered fuel. We've got an extra 14 tons, which adds up to 2 hours, so that's all fine, not a concern. Secondary, we have the other runway. So in case air traffic changes their mind, or we reasonably think we might have to do either, that's in there and ready to go. Lauren B says definitely Cat D, the shorter 340s might be C. Ah, interesting, yeah. Yeah. I think the 380 might be a C in terms of its approach speeds. It does approach at normal speeds. Hayden says, if you prefer not to answer, that's fine, but I wondered what you would have done as a career if you'd been unable to become a pilot. For me, I would have become a doctor. I was looking at aeronautical engineering and whatever that might take you into. That would have been my plan. Classic, just obsessed with flying. You know, so everything I did was to do with flying, and I was determined to make my career something related to flying. So yeah. You never know, maybe if I'd done that I'd have been an F1 car designer at some point. I'm not sure I could have ever been that good. Jacko is going to follow on to 18 left, excellent news. Miku says the 777-300 is Cat D, so it would make sense if this was. Yeah, I think this could be. Everyone says Cat D. Okay, we're definitely on a Cat D. It's great, there's definitely not too much, there seems to be less lag between the chat and the answers this time, which is great news. Thanks Wojtek, 10 degrees now, no significant cloud, 1023. 9 Tango, thanks for the follow. Uchi2 says, watching you whiz around the primary and secondary flight plans is amazing, almost as amazing as the sim-based software that lets you do it like real life. Yeah, it's amazing that ToLiss has got all this. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, it's brilliant stuff. You get used to the secondary. I probably did that a bit quickly, but yeah, so as you can see, before I did anything, I just copied the active, so this is now, that has the original plan. The problem with the secondary is that if I accidentally press either of these buttons, I can cause real problems. Activating secondary you can correct because it asks you, but if you copy the active, it doesn't ask, it just dumps everything in there and we lose it. So it's not the most useful thing. I tend to lean towards adjusting the primary. I find that easier. But that's just me. A lot of pilots like the secondary a lot. Right, we are 3,000 feet high. So let's go into managed descent. So Des, and I'll let the airplane do it. Although the ToLiss does have a habit of overspeeding in the descent because it doesn't transition correctly to speed. That's the only thing I have seen. So keep an eye out on that and I'm sure I'll forget it. Thanks, Alberto. Alberto says a little bit smaller than the 747-400, 840,000 pounds at max takeoff. That is amazing. Yeah. CMB says A380 should be Cat D because of weight turbulence. The coolest ended in super. Yeah, so the category is based on all sorts of things, but maybe it is. Yeah, maybe it is. I'm not overly familiar. Thanks for the subscription, James Brown. Matteo, good to see you. Matteo's in Italy with family, catching up after not seeing them for more than 3 years. Fantastic, Matteo. Enjoyed that. Thanks for stopping by to say hi. But yeah, great that you finally got to see your family. It's a shame it's taken so long. Great to have you here. And we'll see the taxi camera after landing, if you like, Matteo. Definitely. Tickle says, long time watcher on YouTube, first time I get to see you live. Thanks for coming along, Tickle. Leo says, an F1 car that can fly. Yes, exactly, yeah. Crash to Desktop on Final says between VREF 141 and 165 is Cat D. Great. So, yeah, this will put this as Cat D then. Booty would like a tutorial on the primary and secondary. Okay. I'll add it to my list. My current list is ridiculously long. Some of the models on my desk there. Yeah, my current list is 18. I've got 18 videos to do, but I can cross one off. I have done it, and I just need to upload it. A couple of these will be streams as well. Yeah, lots to do. So, how is this going to behave? It should eventually transition to a speed. It's currently, I can see up here, it's on speed. That's good news. So it's stopped. Well done, great stuff. Yeah, we've had a few overspeeds in our time on this channel because of that. Right, we don't want to be high entering this procedure by any means, but I'm curious to see, the Airbus has planned this and it thinks it's happy, relatively. So I'm curious to see how far off we think it is. So 140 is our last, sorry, 140 is our last flight level, and then we'll go to an altitude shortly. Thanks, Tiger, for the subscription, and Ian. Well, what I'm going to do now is, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Let's just put in some fixed info pages. So this will help out of the MSAs. Now this is not a very good MSA, 10,000 feet all around, but we know we have to go below 10,000, so I'm not going to bother with that one. But there is a better one here. There we go. Based on the Bravo Romeo Alpha. That's what Jester always says in the F-14. Bra 325 86. There we go, bra, and then we can have 077. But this is the reciprocal, isn't it? Because when Jefferson does their charts, let me get that right. I don't know why they do this, but they do. So that'll be 038 and 257. Radius of 25. Good stuff. So we're making back our altitude, and now if we go to plan and zoom in and scroll, we will see that painted onto the display. There it is. So with that ring, we can see that in this sector, 10,000 foot MSA. I mean, this is actually this is not proving to be very useful because it's just 10,000 feet anyway. But I suppose we know that if we get vectored over here, the MSA does drop to 47. But yeah, high all around. So really, we don't have much choice. We're not expecting to be radar vectored. We're going to have to follow this procedure very accurately and closely. Good. Final bits then. As I said, this is using the rather excellent Aerosoft Windsock simulations Madrid. So let's bring out, look at this. You all know how I feel about this by now. Look at that. I mean, honestly. Yeah. Not impressed. But let's find what we're actually looking for. Oh, just having a laugh. Right, airport. So landing one at left. Huge, great runway. We will set up the performance for that. 3,500 meters. To vacate to the right at the end at one of these Yankee points. Probably one of the high speeds. And then we'll go and park in at this north terminal. Which has some... I know the scenery around here is very nice. So let's bring up parking stands. Terminal, is that 4? There we go. Yeah, and we'll go and park up over here somewhere. No, that's 4. That's 4S, so it's a satellite terminal. Great. And that's the plan, really. So we talked about the big threats being the terrain and the issue with the altitude. Always they go hand in hand, pretty much. And we've also got the fact that this is quite a slightly unusual picture. It's a slightly... I think the runways here are slightly wider than normal. I think they're 60 meters wide, which can create a bit of a strange picture. We're also landing in an airplane we're not used to landing, so we have the tail strike issue, so we'll be careful. We'll have the down arrows. We'll try and limit that pitch on landing. We also need to be aware that we're going to have to flare slightly earlier and that the aeroplane will touch down slightly sooner than we expect. So, yeah. My excuse for the high sync rate you guys will see is that it does routinely show up slightly too high at that feet per minute figure. In this airplane, it's not really relevant. So, yeah, expect a big shocking number there. Good. Fuel's all good. We've got it all tuned. Right, let's get rid of that. Let's go down to our first altitude. So, at Orbis, 12,000 feet, we want to actually be there. So there's that, and then we're going to push that, and we're going to find ourselves suddenly being higher than we thought, because disaster, QNH is above us, 1024. Oh yeah, and I should have put that in here. Yeah, it's certainly not 50. There we go, 140, which will stop it flashing. So the airplane wants to reduce to 250 now. We'll see if it manages. But we are significantly above 12. However, from Orbis to Rilco is only 1,000 feet loss because of the terrain. So we're not too high at the moment. We just need to make sure we get that speed back in this leg. Oh yeah, landing performance. So we'll do a flat full landing. Config full, 150 knots. It's fast enough. And let's go. Oh, this should work. Yes, it works. Yeah, my hardware works. So we'll go for a 3. I think 3 seems reasonable. Now, who can remember the pitch limits on landing? I've totally forgotten. If anyone in the chat can remember that, that would be great. Matt says, what's the most interesting aeroplane you've flown? Ooh, good question. That's a tricky one. That is a tricky one. I have to think about that. Matteo says, I hope you guys are all doing well and the new year's treating you well. Italy is great and I'm stuffing myself with as much good food as I can whilst I'm here. What are you saying, Matteo? But yeah, absolutely. Enjoy that. Mr. Special says, is it technically possible to fly a forward slip or side slip in the 320 or 340 to lose altitude? Technically possible? No, no. You don't side slip airliners. I mean, we all know it, obviously the Gimli glider did. It's possible technically. It's still an aeroplane, so side slipping is just a function of all the controls. But putting massive strain on this surface back here is very risky, because that has caused accidents in the past. So no, we would never side slip. You'd use the speed brakes. Yeah. Enjoy dinner, Victor Tango. Thanks for coming and moderating. Chris D says, for a steep profile, select speed 190, flaps 1, speed brake and non-standard gear down if needed. Yeah, so flaps 1 works fine with speed brake. The magic of flaps 1 is that you can see that it will allow us, actually we haven't got an issue here, VLS is way below us and the speed limits for flap 1 are very high, actually 280 knots. But what I really want is flap 2, where I get the flaps to come out, because flap 1 obviously just is the slats, so it doesn't really provide much drag, but it does let you use more speed brake. So if you can get the speed back to 190 knots, then you could use flap 2 as well, which is up to 216. So that would give you a lot of opportunity. You'd have a lot of drag out. You can see here, we're going to level off shortly at 12,000 feet. So I'm curious what the airplane's plan is here, but we'll let it do it. It's interesting to see. Got a slight tailwind too. 20 knot tailwind, not helping. 2 Bravo, thanks for following. Danjay Suresh made it back for the landing. Excellent. Good to see you. Leo says, not as bad as the Chicago overspeed. So yeah, I did have, that was an amazing one, wasn't it? Yeah. Kai says, for watching your Dash 8 landing videos, my landings have got much better, but my nose gear doesn't want to go down. I would just need to put forward pressure onto the yoke. So Kai, I agree. No, I don't think in the real Dash you did not need to push forward to get the nose down, but I have noticed the same thing where in the Q4 XP it does seem to stay too high, and I'm not entirely sure why. It could be that I'm not setting the trim right, but yeah, I find it needs more forward pressure, and in the real aircraft you wouldn't ever have to actually push forward on the yoke. You could just relax it and it would sort of come down. On YouTube there is a delay, says Firebubble. Yeah, so on Twitch less of a delay. Morval says the fuel temps never seem to be below total air temperature. Is that correct? Yeah, they're below total air temperature here. 2 degrees outside, fuel's down at -17. It does, the fuel tends to drop to sort of -20. but whether it goes below TAT or not, I don't know. I can't say I've noticed. I know the NEOs have colder fuel, unless heat gets exchanged, but yeah, interesting. I mean, the TAT is obviously going to be the temperature on the leading edge of the wing, so it's likely that the fuel wouldn't go much below that if it did go below at all. Does the 340 have any speed brake autopilot limitation like the 320? Let's have a look. Let's go to half speed brake. There it is. Let's go to full speed brake. No. So it seems like the speed brake works all the way even with the autopilot in. Of course the engine just pulled up doing that. Speed up start, there it is. Next step. In fact, if we're clear for this procedure, let's do it. It's called doing it the Airbus way. I'm going to put in the 6000 platform for the RLS into the window, and I'm just going to let the airplane do it. There we go. So we get thrust idle and DES. It's 11,000 at real code. Down it goes. It's a little bit high. It might complain at that. And then you've got out magenta 11. And then we should see 10. There is a weird phenomenon in the Airbus where if it thinks it's going to make all the restrictions, it won't actually show you. And you can end up not having the right altitude in there, which is very disconcerting. Something you have to get used to. Right, I'm incredibly far behind on the chat, so I do apologise. I might have to skip a few bits here. Thank you all for coming along. If you are enjoying it, do please leave a like on YouTube. It makes a big difference. So here we go. It's going to level at 11, and then it should drop down for the next one. Ben Von Mahoney says, hi. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Nine Tanker says, I've been sick for about a week and not keeping track better, but now. Any updates on X-Plane 12 release? No updates that I've seen on that, sadly. 10 degrees, right? I have no clue, says Kai. Yeah, who remembers the pitch limit? The circles, the Killer Country, the circles are in the fixed info page. So if you go to YouTube and search 320 Sim Pilot fixed info, I have a whole tutorial on it where I talk about why and when and how. That's done in the fly-by-wire in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's the same. It's an Airbus, so it works in everything. Redmaster, good to see you. Glad you like the Dash 8. Yeah, excellent. Thanks for coming along. It's local QNH because we're going down to an altitude now because the last flight level was 140. CMB says Q4XP devs say that it's normal to push on the yoke and don't want to hear anything about that anymore. Interesting. Thanks, CMB. I'm going to do some asking around and see, but I'm pretty confident I was told off if I pushed forward, but I'm pretty sure. You got to remember that it could be you mustn't put them into disc until you've put the nose wheel down. So that might be the reason. If we're putting it into disc too early, we could find the issue arising because disc will obviously create a lot of drag above the centre of gravity, putting the nose up. So I'm not 100% convinced. I'm not confident, sorry, that the Q4XP is wrong. I just need to make sure I'm doing the right technique when I'm having a look at it. The tail strike pitch indicators do appear as arrows indeed, Chris. Thanks very much. Yeah. My only concern is the tail strike indicators on the 321, for example, don't actually... here you go, there's 9,000 to drop to 8 any seconds. There it goes. And the decel point is at MD610. So the next point is the decel point where we need to start putting the flap out. IML is identified now. I'm going to have to stop reading the chat soon. I have not tried the new experimental build, Richard. They have overfly waypoints and TCAS. Yeah, overfly waypoints. Not used very much, but certainly a great feature to have. TCAS certainly is a big one, but I need to find a way to practice that. So we might have to do a Twitch stream where we all jump onto a multiplayer and have a go. There's an ECAM warning that fuel temps can go below -42 and freeze, but TAT in X-Plane is rarely below -22, so that's a bit puzzling. Yeah, so the fuel, it shouldn't. Let's go flap 1, as we have now reached that point. And I am actually going to go to flap 2 because we have that ability. And yeah, get the airplane going down. Oh, it's got flap relief. That's interesting. It was showing me as available. Ah, so this is something I'm not familiar with. Yeah, it was showing available. You're absolutely right. 216 is the limit. Interesting. So it's holding the flaps at 1+F. How curious. Let's go with the speed brakes. So you can see we're coming in about on profile, but yeah, we are fast. So turning in, localizer and glide step coming in. So let's arm the approach now. That way I can avoid. So speed, glide step, style, lock star, cat 1, AP1 plus 2. But big problem now. 17 miles out is okay. We've got room to fix this, but obviously we're high up, 7,000 feet, and we have a lot of true airspeed. We've got an extra 10 knots of true airspeed over our ground speed. So we are going to find it slightly difficult to slow down. Although, actually, it's doing quite a nice job. The flap 2's come out now, the speed brakes. It does have a lot of speed brakes, so the 321 doesn't run all the speed brakes up, so you don't get such a powerful effect. I wonder if these are more effective. We'd have to ask someone who's flown it for real, but it would appear they could be, given how they run the full length of the wing.
Charlie, 10 mile final, runway 32 left.
Actually, we'll talk about the updates again on the ground. There is an update to the Q4 XP to select. Okay, I need to try that out. Yeah, if you put them into disk too early, that could be causing the problem. Right, I am running behind as ever. Maker says, my brain seems to be able to work out how to do things in a Boeing FMC. They're basically guessing in a way which I can't seem to do in the Airbus. Yeah, the Airbus it is very different. Yeah. Right, going altitude into the window. Now we've got glide step and lock star. 5,000 feet in there. We left the landings on the whole flight, so that's fine. Passenger signs need to go on. A bit late, but let's run the approach checklist. We've got briefing confirmed. Decam status is checked. Seatbelts are on. Barra ref, we've got 1024 set. Minimum, we've got 2162 set. Engine starter sets to norm. Thanks for the follow the bearded pilot. Yeah, so fuel shouldn't go below too far below the TAT. It will sort of settle quite cold in the sort of minus 20s. Yeah, it shouldn't go down because it obviously in a 4 or 5 hour flight it could drop all the way to that sort of minus 20 region, so it shouldn't go much below that. Santiago says maybe we can ask Bjorn pilot. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, is he back? Is he doing things again? So 11 miles, 180 knots. This is all working out. The Airbus did a great job. New experimental has auto TCAS this running. So that's the right. Well, we need to try that out. Yeah. It's gonna be hard to make a video on TCAS without having some clips. So I might try and record some clips on the server, multiplayer server, tomorrow. Let's see if I can get around to that. Santiago says he now flies the 350. Right, excellent. Yeah, Bjorn pilots definitely does 350. Good stuff. Right, 9 miles, 180 knots. So let's go to flap 3. Airbus is an unusual airplane. It doesn't have a gear horn. It just has the GPWS. So in your 737, if you were to put too much flap out without the gear, it does a gear horn because it's assuming you were trying to land. But Airbuses are unusual in that you can put all the flap out without the gear. At least you can in the short haul Airbus. Let's try. Flap full. There you go. And it doesn't care. So it's a landing flap configuration, and we've got the wheels up, and the airplane just says, yeah, you know what you're doing. So people like to say the Airbus doesn't trust the pilots, but here we are. Evidence to the contrary. Thanks, Chad, for the subscription. Mark says the fly-by-wire TCAS only works for VATSIM and IVEO and not multiplayer. Ah, then that's going to make life difficult. I wouldn't know how to show it then. I suppose you can just see other traffic. It's 2,000 feet. Still looking good. 5 miles. Lauren B says, keeping the drag low. I have flap 15 in gear all the time in the 737. Yeah, it's handy to have the flap out if you need to fly a lower speed without wanting to have the engine spooled up. Anyway, gear down. Arm the speed brakes. Ding dong in the cabin. Landing checklist. Cabin crew advised. Auto thrust is in speed mode. Auto brake is in 3. Eco memo is landing. No blue. All those wheels, temperatures and pressures. Excellent. Madrid traffic, speedbird 299 is on the final approach for runway 18 left. Landing. It works with live traffic. Thanks. Right, okay. Right, enough of that. Let's focus on landing. So, excuses. Strange picture on the runway. Long aeroplane. Feet per minute don't show up right. I think that's it. I think that'll do. There we go. 1,000, we are stable. Let's try and reposition the seats. Something pilots always do far too late in the process. We always do it about now instead of earlier. Should have done it. So we've got the auto brake in, and we are going to use idle reverse for this landing. Right. Let's hope I've got these buttons assigned. So that is autopilot off. Triple click.
Traffic, Iberia 31 Sierra Charlie, runway vacated.
Excellent. So the runway vacated ahead of us. I think I'm sitting too far forwards. It's too late for that though. Doesn't count as an excuse. There's the pitch limiter. So the red arrow down, just reminding us. I've not even touched the side stick yet.
200 above.
See the width of that runway. Into the flare.
50, 40, 30,
Idle.
20, retard, 10.
Holding it there. There's touchdown. And reverses out. Oof, that nose came down a bit fast there. Trying to get reverse idle. There we go. Is this easier in the real aircraft just to get reverse idle? And that's us down. So we've got spoilers, reverse screen, and decel. Right. Well, we've made the first exit there. No problem. So we'll go manual brakes, disconnecting them. There we go. It worked out, did it? Excellent. Guys, there's excuse meter. Let's go forward idle. Yeah, that was a bit of a float, but you know, nice long runway, nice long touchdown zone. We'll have a look at the replay later. Welcome to Madrid. I hope you've enjoyed it. Ruchi2 says A340 is the best Airbus to land. Yeah, that was good. So, some of the differences, for those of you wondering, we now have an animated nose wheel on the taxi camera as well as animated flaps, so you can see them there. Let's try and actually not run the main gear into the into the lights. So yeah, that's a nice new feature that they've added. We've also got updated sounds, which you may have heard there with the reverse. And we have updated engine modelling and updated fuselage textures. I think the fuselage texture is a bit older, actually. We've also got a rat, which we didn't see, so I might try that out. Well, it won't work on the ground now, though. And we've got hydraulic lines, and we'll look in the replay to see how the gear animates differently. Right, vacating, so we'll bring those flaps up. Disarm the spoilers. Get rid of the landing lights. Ah, we didn't put the nose gear lights on, so we'll have that set to taxi. There we go. And the strobe lights to auto. Very easy to get this wrong. So, sounds like that landing went all right. Thanks very much for the follow to Tom. If you did enjoy the flight, thanks for coming along. I really appreciate it. And if you are watching on YouTube and you did enjoy, leaving a like would make a big difference to the channel. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that on your way out, that'd be very much appreciated. But replay's coming soon. We're just going to go and park up. So this is the Madrid, as I could say, Aerosoft and Windsock simulations. Thank you to them for sending it over. Yeah, it's brilliant. We've got all the taxiways modelled. We've got the correct runways in the right place. They have got vegetation and so on, I believe, but I've got my settings turned down a bit because this aeroplane does have an FPS impact. There's no doubt about it. So when you combine it with a good scenery, you do find things do slow down a little bit. Santiago, glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along. So yeah, so we're going to go park up over at this terminal. You can already see the detailing is all correct. The lights are in the right place. Really very nice. And I'll show you, should have some stand guidance as well. So we'll do our usual long haul taxi speed here, about 2 knots. By the way, something that they did add in version 1.01, if anyone who hasn't seen it, you can now turn off the cabin. And you'll notice an immediate improvement in frame rates. 34, 42, 46. Yeah, it's very noticeable. So that's a great idea from the ToLiss team for those who need it. And it's funny, I have a relatively powerful computer, but I find it really helps if I'm trying to combine scenery. Okay, so now we get this dot here onto the yellow line, and then we turn, and we should find the airplane behaves or keeps itself roughly in the right place. One of my favourite things that ToLiss managed with this was the fact that with 2 thrust levers, you can control 2 engines at a time. Because a lot of add-ons don't have that, and X-Plane doesn't have it by default for some unknown reason. So very happy to see that. Now, 340-600s, quite common sight in Madrid. Certainly they were while Iberia was using them. Matteo, enjoy your dinner. Thanks very much for coming along. Great to have you, and enjoy your time in Italy. Fantastic that you got out there. The Christo, thanks for your raid with the party of 14. I hope you're all doing very well. Thanks for coming along. Dougal, good to see you. Dougal says could only lurk today, Skipper. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Dougal. No problem at all. Thanks for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed it. Right, let's go and park in over at that terminal. Let's get the right lines. So we'll take the next one in. So you can see we've got the correct tower lurking over there. This is the satellite terminal. Madrid is a huge, huge, huge airport. Let's get that APU up and running. Gertie says, nice plane. I might get it once X-Plane 12 comes out. Yeah, that would be a very good excuse. Good time to get it. I love it. Absolutely love flying the heavy metal, and this is just obviously one of mine and many of you's all-time favourite. Look at these confusing taxiway markings. Madrid is like this. It's got some strange namings, endless writing, and you've got things like gates. I actually think this is probably the wrong way in, but we shall see. Todd, thanks for your follow. Yeah, look at all that. Excellent, excellent detailing. Blocked off taxiways. Iberia, baggage containers. And here's the terminal. And it just looks spot on. They've absolutely got it, just nailed it. Oh, there's not wander off there. So, I'm hoping to find a stand with guidance. Because I did have it working earlier. Elsmith says, bought this the day it came out, love it. Santiago says, can you do 2 engine? I believe you can, but I don't know for sure, so I don't want to speak with too much confidence. Someone did leave a message on a video, and I've totally forgotten what it said, so I feel terrible. Taxi light off. Let's pick a stand. I'm hoping the guidance will turn on, because it's great when it works. We're going to go into the middle one here, 553. See if we can get this right using this the camera. It's hard now because we lose the line, so it needs to be a 90-degree turn.
Madrid traffic,
So we're way past it. Look at that. What a strange picture. So we are looking like we're not going to make the stands, but that's going to work out, I think. No, the guidance does work automatically. There it is. Look at that. A340-600. Brilliant. Look at this scenery. You've got the whole terminal up there, and they've got the interior of the building as well. But we're not in line at all. Let's try better. Try harder, sorry. There it is. Pointing us to the right. Numbers count down pretty quickly. When you're in a bigger airplane, it feels like it's going slower than it is. Oh, too much. Okay, excellent. Parking brake is set. APU is available. Let's shut it down. Welcome to Madrid Airport. Yeah, so are we on that line? Yeah, that's pretty good. The main gear's almost on the line. Let's turn off the beacon. Will that jetty connect? Yes, it will. So here you go. The perks of proper scenery. Really nice. I like that a lot. So thank you all for coming along. As I said, do please leave a like if you have enjoyed the stream. We didn't quite make it, so that guidance didn't quite put us out of the way of the... I have a horrible feeling we shouldn't have parked here. Boeing 777s would go over here. This is for 321s and 767s, it seems. But there we go. If I go to the free camera, do a bit of exploring. Again, just soaking that livery. We might have to use that one again. So yeah, they've got the custom towers, and I believe some parts of the terminal are modelled. Yep, there you go. Look at that. Unusual for an X-plane scenery. with passengers as well. Now that's good because obviously with glass terminals you can see the passengers queuing up. There you go, yeah. Because we obviously can see the passengers walking down jetties and things, so it's quite nice to have the model there. Very good. Sorry, I won't do this for long. We will go and do the replay soon. I just can't resist exploring. This is a popular flight. Can't see where it's going. Yeah, very good. And then you got the main terminal over there. It's a huge airport. It's got an underground railway and everything to get you over. But this satellite terminal is just in the middle of nowhere, and it's just massive. Thanks, Sanjay Suresh. Enjoy your flight tomorrow. There you go, Madrid Airport. Yeah. Yeah, like I say, unusual for... I haven't seen many X-plane sceneries that go to this level. All the walkways. Look at that. Amazing. I have to try it out at night at some point as well. And, of course, this is Madrid, so that's not all. We've got the whole other terminal down here. It just goes on forever. Storage, where lots of airplanes have been parked up during the pandemic. Yeah. Huge place, and they've put in a lot of work. Look at this. All the texturing named properly. Excellent. Somebody else in a Qatar Dreamliner. Very nice. I'm not sure AEA is Qatar, but there we go. Right. Let's jump over to our airplane. Let's disconnect from VATSIM. And time to jump for the replay. No, I'm not using ortho. So, this is all default X-plane plus the Aerosoft / Windsock simulations Madrid, which is very nice indeed. So let's bring in for the landing. So they've changed the animation on the wheels. So now the tyres can animate movement. Before, I think all 4 would start rolling at once, and now they've found a way to make it so that just the 2 do at a time. It's going to be very hard to tell. I mean, this is a serious level of detail. Also, these hydraulic lines have been added in. I think that's the lines they're talking about. So anyway, here we came in for the landing. Slightly off to the left. The whole approach, it sort of brought us in slightly off to the left, but well within acceptable positioning. Well, I say that. You might find that on this airplane that doesn't work. I don't use a weather engine, though. So into the flare. Floated a little bit. Still flaring. And there we go. I wonder what our pitch was. So hopefully we'll see the rear spin up. There we go. And then the front will spin up on touchdown. There they go. Pretty cool. Again, I can't say I noticed it being a problem, but this is a great level of detail. So the front one spin up there, and then the rear one spin up when it finally settles down all the way. There's the reversers, and there's the nose gear. So how close was our tail? That was okay. That was okay. What's the cockpit showing? It doesn't show. What pitch were we at? Yeah, almost 7.5 degrees. Excellent.
10.
Yeah, tilted landing gear, very cool. It was an important feature to get right in this aeroplane, no doubt, because it's something we all knew we'd come for. So it's great that they had it animated so well, and they've only managed to improve it here. Right, it is time. Thanks, Goofy, for the follow. It's time for... I think we'll have to do this view again. Can't resist that wing view in this airplane. What altitude are we at here, actually? Back a little bit more. I'm just trying to time this right roughly for the music. That was the gear coming out. Okay, let's try it from there. So, it's time now for the replay from the view. Oh, actually, we can just enjoy the gear animation because they do put a lot of effort into this. Here it comes. We put it out late with flat full. Unusual, by the way. That's not normal procedure. I was just demonstrating a point. But it does work. The Airbus does let you. Look at that. All that heavy metal. Yeah, thank you all for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks as ever to the moderators for taking the time out to look after us all as well on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks to everyone chatting along. Really appreciate it. And of course, everyone just watching along at home. It's always a pleasure to have you all join us here. do please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. It makes a massive difference to the channel, and we'll be doing some more streams on Twitch that are more sort of casual without the whole sector and the whole flight. We'll be just looking at some other things, trying out some new versions, maybe trying to make a TCAS video at some point, maybe with DCS. Thank you as well, of course, for those very kind donations. Really, really appreciate it, and thanks so much for supporting the channel to those of you. And yeah, so just thank you all, and thanks for supporting the channel. Happy New Year to everyone, because it's it's been another long year, but we're here, and really, really appreciate all the support. Of course, I still can't believe where the channel's at and what we get to do. So yeah, absolutely love it, and it's all down to you guys being so great, so pleasant with each other, and being so much fun to spend time with. So thank you all. Keep safe and well. We'll see you again in another live stream very, very soon, and I've got more videos coming on the Airbus as well on the channel. So for now, enjoy the music, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.